Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come with me. Let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
This is a public advisory. On Sunday, February 23, the Mayor's Parlor will be aired from 12:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. We do apologize for any inconvenience caused.
None of mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking them.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come unwind with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat.
Life skills.
Global Connect.
And Bust the Youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show. Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Public opinions.
Stop this foolish about this JLP and PMP business. We are Jamaican.
Different people.
It's not a matter of a JLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robian Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Police Commissioner accuses Jamaicans for Justice of seeking relevance in criticizing police for increase in fatal shootings.
And Dr. Blake is warning criminals that they will lose when they raise their weapons against the security forces.
Should you choose the foolish option of challenging us with lethal force, know this: I do not train my police to lose.
PIOJ closely monitoring actions of U.S. President Donald Trump for any potential impact on the Jamaican economy.
Capri study says violence against children is the most common form of domestic violence committed by women in Jamaica.
Former policewoman commits suicide in taxi.
In news from the rest of the world, former Prime Minister of Grenada, Dr. Keith Mitchell, steps down as leader of the opposition New National Party.
Trump planning to lay off more than 6,000 IRS employees by the end of the week.
In headline sports, it's all systems go for the 48th staging of the Gibson McCook Relays at the National Stadium on Saturday.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake has accused human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice of seeking relevance by its recent condemnation of the high number of recent police killings.
We need to have less fatal shootings. And so I call upon JFJ to demonstrate to the public that your care is more for the well-being of our citizens and less for the relevance of your organization.
You'll hear more.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, as we celebrate Reggae Month, who are your top 5 reggae artists of all time? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, according to data from the Planning Institute of Jamaica, agriculture, forestry and fishing contracted by 12% in the last quarter of 2024. We'll hear from Agriculture Minister Floyd Green.
And at 8, it's the A-Team with Dennis Brooks.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app, available on Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, Friday, February 21, 2025.
News at 5 is brought to you by Fostrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now the details. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake has accused human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice JFJ of seeking relevance by its recent condemnation of the high number of police killings. 50 Jamaicans have been killed in police confrontation since the start of the year. JFJ says the figure is intolerable, but Dr. Blake says the criticism is misplaced. Mahiri Stewart has more in this report.
Since the start of February, 22 Jamaicans have been cut down by police bullets. This is in addition to the 28 killed in January. That's nearly 3 times the number killed by the police when compared to the same 2-month period in 2024. A total of 19 civilians were killed between January and February last year. The figures were provided by the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM. The police say those killed were marauding criminals who raised their weapons against law enforcement. On Thursday, Jamaicans for Justice condemned the killings, noting that at least 1 Jamaican citizen is killed daily by the security forces. On Friday, the police commissioner, Dr. Kevin Blake, offered a forceful response.
We have had police officers and soldiers killed and seriously injured in some of these confrontations. It is mandated by policy that every incident of fatal shooting must be followed by a removal from frontline duty and an administrative review. This takes police that would normally be out to protect you, the citizens, off the street. And so, yes, we agree, we need to have less fatal shootings. And so I call upon JFJ to demonstrate to the public that your care is more for the well-being of our citizens and less for the relevance of your organization. And it is hard for me to think otherwise when I know JFJ is fully abreast of the facts.
Dr. Blake says JFJ's condemnation of the police is misplaced.
I strongly support the view that the number of fatal shootings is too high. However, the call is wrongly directed and should be aiming at those who make the decision to challenge a far more superior force. And so let me encourage Jamaicans for Justice to be more responsible in their public pronouncements, especially when the nation is aware of its members' proven ability to comprehend the most basic and fundamental principles of security. To suggest that fatal shooting numbers can be reduced by anything other than the unwillingness of persons being apprehended to engage in deadly confrontation with members of the security forces is irresponsible, or at best, advocating for us to relent in our pursuit.
Dr. Blake says criminals who seek to kill or harm civilians will face the full force of the law. He added that individuals who are being sought by the police are free to surrender themselves and face the court.
We also wish to reiterate the idiocy of these criminal elements in seeking to engage the security forces with deadly force and expect not to be responded to with similar force. Ladies and gentlemen, our prisons and police lockups are fully populated with persons who have made the smarter choice of surrendering peacefully to the police. We have had well over 1,000 firearm-related arrests each year. Persons have had their day in court and have, in some instances, been freed of the charges against them. They have all lived to see another day, simply because they choose not to direct deadly force against our members.
Last year, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness warned criminals they had a choice before them when confronted by the police. He said they could choose to face a judge or meet their maker. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, a tough-talking police commissioner warned criminal suspects that the police have what he described as superior firepower. He says the lawmen are not trained to lose.
We will continue to utilize our superior investigative capacity. We will use our superior operational capabilities, and we will go out and confront those who seek to destabilize our communities by wielding the threat of violence and terror. It continues to be our intention to bring those marauding criminals to justice so that they can have their day in court. Our track record of bringing violent criminals before a judge is beyond question. However, let me say again, when the police come for you, do not raise your weapons against us. Lay down your weapons and have your day in court. But should you choose the foolish option of challenging us with lethal force, know this: I do not train my police to lose. We have the superior training and firepower to ensure that we win every time.
The commissioner also took issue with JFJ's comments suggesting the progress made in holding law enforcement accountable risked being eroded. He says it insults the work of Indicom.
This constant call for there to be more accountability over the JCF is in itself a slap in the face of Indicom. Be reminded that that is their single most important mandate. And let me be absolutely clear, lest I am misunderstood or misquoted. I am a full supporter of what Indicom stands for. An effective Indicom assures me that those among us who believe that they are free to break the law will be held to account and be removed from within our ranks. The JCF's effectiveness depends on this. However, I am concerned that the JFJ supports the idea that Indicom's investigation is being hampered because we do not have body-worn camera footage to present to them, even while they have more than 60% of what is required to complete an investigation.
Dr. Kevin Blake, Police Commissioner.
And Executive Director of JFJ, Michael Jackson, has dismissed the Commissioner's claims that the lobby group is seeking relevance.
We do find it quite unfortunate that the Commissioner has seemingly chosen to issue a blanket defense of every incident resulting in fatality. I would remind the public that there are several instances where the police officers have acted unlawfully, which is why some matters have gone before the courts and police officers have been held to account. So to challenge JFJ and its call for accountability is something that I find deeply concerning coming from the Jamaica Constabulary Force. There is no way we should be looking at a call for accountability as something where an organization is seeking relevance or somehow soften crime. Nothing could be further from the truth. And that is why we take some offense to some of the statements that the police commissioner made.
Ms. Jackson says Dr. Blake's assertion that investigations would not be hindered by a lack of body cameras is deeply troubling. She notes that reports from Indicom have suggested that in some instances, police actions have hindered the advancement of investigations. Ms. Jackson is calling on Dr. Blake to work with civil society in the fight against crime.
Let us acknowledge that there are some instances where officers act contrary to the law, act contrary to the use of force policies, and let us move in a collaborative effort where JFJ, the JCF, and other members of society can come together and arrest the crime rate that we have in the country. And we would urge the police commissioner to look at the history, the bad history in some instances that have plagued not only the JCF but also the Jamaica Defence Force, where reports coming from Indicom and other allegations from citizens have suggested: 1, crime scenes have been tampered with; 2, firearms and other weapons have been planted. These are not things that JFJ have made up. These are documented things coming from the JCF and Indicom as well.
Michael Jackson, Executive Director at Jamaicans for Justice.
To other news now, the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, is closely monitoring the actions of the Trump administration in the United States and its potential impact on the local economy. Addressing a quarterly media briefing earlier this week, PIOJ Director General Dr. Wayne Henry says it's still too early to assess the impact. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
Since his return to the White House, U.S. President Donald Trump has shocked the world with his aggressive policies on trade and immigration. Tariffs have been levied on China, Mexico, and Canada. Similarly, strict deportation measures have seen thousands deported since the new president took office. PIOJ Director General Dr. Wayne Henry says it's still too early to form a view on the potential fallout.
Another key development, which the PIOJ is keenly tracking, is the potential impact of the measures being implemented by the new United States administration. We can agree that it is too early to determine impact, as the precise nature and magnitude of these changes are still being announced and rolled out. However, these new U.S. policies may have a significant impact on Jamaica, particularly in areas such as trade, foreign aid, and immigration.
However, Dr. Henry says, as Jamaica's largest trading partner, the actions of the U.S. could significantly impact local markets. Similarly, as one of Jamaica's biggest providers of foreign aid, changes in U.S. policy could affect Jamaica's development goals.
With respect to trade, the United States is Jamaica's largest trading partner, and changes in U.S. trade policies can directly affect the Jamaican economy. The potential imposition of tariffs would have an adverse impact on domestic inflation as well as Jamaica's export performance, as competitiveness could be eroded. With respect to foreign aid and assistance, United States foreign aid programs play a role in supporting Jamaica's development efforts. Effective January 20, 2025, the U.S. instituted a 90-day pause on all foreign aid pending a review following the issuance of an executive order. This has impacted the implementation of programs in Jamaica supported by U.S. foreign development assistance.
The PIOJ Director General says immigration policy changes may also have unavoidable consequences. But an additional unforeseen impact is the U.S. withdrawal from several multilateral agreements and bodies.
With respect to immigration policies, changes in U.S. immigration policies will impact Jamaican citizens, especially those seeking to work, study, or live in the United States. Tighter immigration controls can reduce opportunities for Jamaicans. With regard to climate and health policies, the U.S.'s withdrawal from international climate and health bodies and/or agreements, as in the Paris Agreement and the WHO, the World Health Organization, may affect global initiatives that Jamaica participates in, potentially impacting environmental and health-related projects.
Dr. Henry says that as more information becomes available, they will update their projections. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
14 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 in Montego Bay.
Why eat other snacks when sunshine has the best for you? Nature's best buns are crunchy. The flavor that sings to you. Salted banana and plantain. Taste the freshness, naturally sweet. The flavor that sings to you.
Ayo, nature's best bunch.
Continuing the news, violence against children is the most prevalent form of domestic violence perpetrated by women in Jamaica. At least 80% of children experience violence at home. That's according to a recent study from the Caribbean Policy Research Institute, CAPRI. The study, titled Hits and Misses, Women in Organized Violence, identifies a range of roles women play in interpersonal and domestic violence. Robian Williams reports.
According to Capri, women's involvement in domestic violence encompasses various forms of family-related violence, including intimate partner violence, child abuse, sibling conflicts, and certain types of gender-based violence. These observations, Capri says, highlights that women's violent crimes are typically driven by emotional and personal factors rather than systemic or organized violence. Such physical violence often includes stabbing, stone throwing, or the use of blunt objects and is frequently linked to personal grievances or crimes of passion. Capri adds that in cases where domestic or intimate partner violence intersects with sexual competition or conflicts over romantic partners, violent confrontations may arise, including assaults against the rival. Capri points to a tragic example in June 2023 when 8-year-old Danielle Rowe was fatally attacked. Danielle was attacked in retaliation for her father's alleged transmission of HIV to the perpetrator, Coyote Satchel. Satchel pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life in prison in December 2024 with eligibility for parole after 27 years and 4 months. The Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF Domestic Violence Intervention Unit is currently on a month-long cross-country tour as part of its ongoing effort to combat domestic violence and raise awareness across communities. The JCF says the tour is meant to educate, engage, and empower citizens on identifying and preventing domestic violence. Director of Hear the Children's Cry, Nigel Cooper, says he's not surprised that more women than men are carrying out disciplinary roles in the home.
When we look at the fact that based on the 2021 Jamaica Survey of Living Conditions study that 39% of households are headed by single females in Jamaica. And when we see from our counselors at Hear the Children's Cry, we do find that the mothers, because there's an absenteeism of male figures, do have to take on the role of disciplining their children. For me, the challenge I have with Capri is what would they define as violence? Because if you're disciplining your child, does that constitute abuse? Does that constitute violence? So that is the concern. But I'm not surprised that because of the absenteeism of fathers that women have to discipline.
Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
A former police officer died after shooting herself in the head Friday morning. She has been identified as 48-year-old Alsania Flinch. The police say the incident occurred in Exchange St. Anne shortly after 10 in the morning. Reports are the former policewoman was seen in a chartered taxi returning from the Firearm Licensing Authority office in Discovery Bay, St. Anne, where she had picked up her firearm from storage. It's understood when the cab reached the vicinity of Exchange District, the driver heard the gun weapon being charged. The former policewoman is said to have then shot herself in the head. The taxi driver turned around and drove her to the St. Anne's Bay Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Senior Superintendent of Police in charge of St. Anne, Dwight Powell, said investigations were continuing. He told Nationwide News that the circumstances surrounding the shooting are leaning towards suicide. Flinch resigned from the Jamaica Constabulary Force in July last year. She last served in St. Mary.
Student leaders at the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies are urging the school's administration to ensure security remains a priority. The call comes a week after students reported a surge in reports of robberies, some of which occurred in broad daylight. Dante Minto is chairman of the student body on Georgia Lane Hall.
I don't think the feeling of safety has translated yet to the student population. So there's still some unrest. We still have students asking questions. Students are still pressing the matter. So I don't think the students are seeing everything yet. We know because the administration communicates with the guild, but I don't think that there is readily a widespread feeling of safety amongst them. We met with them last week. We outlined some things. They've agreed to it, and it looks good. The only advice is just keep it a priority. Keep it a priority.
Dante Minto, chairman of the Georgia Lane Hall on the UWI Mona campus.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Former Prime Minister of Grenada, Dr. Keith Mitchell, has officially stepped down as leader of the opposition New National Party. Dr. Mitchell's resignation took effect today. He announced his resignation in a letter to the Governor General, marking a significant shift in Grenada's political landscape. In his statement, Dr. Mitchell emphasized the need for new leadership to guide the party and opposition forward. However, Dr. Mitchell says he will remain the Member of Parliament for Northwest St. George. Dr. Mitchell is the longest-serving Prime Minister in Grenadian history, having held office for over 22 years. Emmeline Pierre is slated to take over as leader of the opposition. She makes history as the first female to hold the position within the party.
The Trump administration is planning to lay off more than 6,000 employees by the end of the week at the Internal Revenue Service, IRS. The IRS is the agency responsible for managing the country's taxation system. The cuts to the IRS come in the middle of U.S. tax season when millions of Americans and businesses turn to the agency to submit their taxation documents. Half of the cuts will hit an office known as the Small Business Self-Employed SBSE Division. An email signed by SBSE heads said probationary employees who had been at the agency less than a year would not be entitled to severance. About 83,000 people worked for the IRS as of the 2023 fiscal year.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake accuses Jamaicans for Justice of seeking relevance in criticizing police for increase in fatal shootings.
And Dr. Blake is warning criminals that they will lose when they raise their weapons against the security forces.
Should you choose the foolish option of challenging us with lethal force, know this: I do not train my police to lose.
Dr. Kevin Blake, Commissioner of Police, PIOJ closely monitoring actions of U.S. President Donald Trump for any potential impact on the Jamaican economy.
Caprice study says violence against children is the most common form of domestic violence committed by women in Jamaica.
I'm Roby Ann Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by Fosrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
Payroll processing giving you angina? Complete your payroll in just 15 minutes with ICOPay. ICOPay is an efficient payroll software that simplifies payroll processing and returns for businesses of all sizes. Features includes SO1 and SO2 filings, online salary deposits, payslip distribution via email, and many more. It's Jamaica's best-selling payroll solution. Visit ICOPayJA.com for a demo. Follow at ICOPayJA or call or WhatsApp at 876-333-5809.
Trouble
Wagwan, Jamaica, the Cove Side Concert Series got a combo for you. Pay $20,000 and attend 2 big concerts. First one drop. Saturday, February 22nd, Barrington Levy, Gramps Morgan, Luciano, and Dance Expression. The same ticket gets you to Timeless. Saturday, March 29. You get to see Dionne Warwick, Myrna Hague, Dwayne Stevens, and Queen Marcia Griffith. We've got a Cove Side combo deal for you. Saturday, February 22nd, Barrington Levy, Gramps Morgan, Luciano. Then Timeless with Dionne Warwick, Myrna Hague, Dwayne Stevens, and our Queen Marcia Griffiths. The Cove Side Concert Series.
Tickets at coveside.aitis
at Plantation Cove, St. Anne, Jamaica.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The biggest track and field meet on the local calendar so far this year will unfold at the National Stadium tomorrow. It's a 48th staging of the Gibson McCook Relays, and it starts at 8:30 in the morning. Over 31 finals are to be decided. In fact, 38, with 15 of them championship races. Chairman of the Entries and Registration Committee, Ryan Peralta, and the track and field lovers would want to go to the stadium for this massive event tomorrow. So he says, now the annual relay carnival, as I mentioned, will run off tomorrow. And Peralta says there'll be something for everyone.
You got to come. I'll just put it as plain as that. You're going to see people there who are world performers, both the senior athletes as well as high schoolers who are great, promising young people. So it's going to be exciting. 1. 2, the events themselves are going to be run. They are run as usual on a timetable. So that's about discipline and how the meet is run. The other thing is, too, it's a meet, and this is one of the things that World Athletics requires. It's a meet that when you come, everything is clean, the look is clean, but there's also the excitement at the same time of the different events. Just a thrilling thing to see a 4x1. I was telling somebody, when you come around the bend at the top of the 150-meter mark there and you hear the crowd go, woo. I mean, you can't get that from the TV.
That's Ryan Peralta. Rashada Williams has been appointed captain of Jamaica's team to the CG United Women's Super 50 Cup in St. Kitts and Nevis, February 24 to March 7. She'll get the support from former captain Stephanie Taylor and another West Indies player, Chideen Nation. Jamaica's first game will be against Trinidad and Tobago at Warner Park on the opening day. The other members of the squad are Abigail Bryce, Nicole Campbell, Corrine Howell, Krishana McKenzie, Jodian Morgan, Rashada Otar, Lena Scott, Nisha Ann Waysam, Vanessa Watts, Selena White, and Cade Wilmot. The 6 regional franchises have named their squads for the competition, which will be over 12 days, including the final. Minister of Sports Olivia Grange has dismissed the suggestions that the government of Jamaica is not supportive of cricket. Minister Grange says her ministry has been working hard in assisting Jamaica and the West Indies to return to the pinnacle of world and regional cricket. She says the government has allocated over $70 million to refurbish the light at the Sabina Park venue.
Once the president of the JCA got in touch with me and said, we have an emergency. We need lights at Sabina Park because we have matches that's going to take place. And certainly there's a tour set for July and we have to do night cricket. So we need lights. I said to the president, consider it done. I'm going to find the money to get you the lights. So I've identified the funds, but we're just tidying up a little technicality with the president. And we will be providing the advance shortly to secure the lights. It's going to be a total approximately $75 million, but we are going to ensure that it's done. So I just want to say to all those who say the government don't like cricket, that's not true. That is absolutely not true.
Sports Minister Olivia Grange. And that's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you.
The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
Deposit we have insurance. It's an account that come with assurance. Let me teach you why it's important to have deposit insurance, just in case your bank crash dead. No need to put your hands on your head. Up to 1.2 million you get for all accounts that's affected. Yeah, one room you can start it, or throw a house party. Pay your mortgage with ease. JDIC is a smart win. Deposits we bring safety. JDIC them protect me. Bank and billing society protected. The flow you must get with. Protect your savings smart. We urging you to call me. Guarantee you need us. We take banking serious.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
The NWC bill-free promotion is here. Be one of 350 persons to get $20,000 water credit when you pay your bill in full every month until March 31, 2025. And there's more. Oh yes, you can win $300,000, $200,000 or $100,000 cash in the NWC bill-free promotion if you register for e-bill and pay your bill in full every month until March 31. Conditions apply. Visit nwcjamaica.com for details. Authorized under Section 58(3) of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act, a part of the NWC's bucket full of goodies.
Revamp your space with Unique Living sleek fixed and sliding shower panels, shower systems and faucets, stylish vanities, LED and non-LED mirrors, basins and kitchen sinks, closet and storage solutions, hanging aids, and more. Available in different finishes and sizes to match your style. Transform your space and visit us today at shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10. Call us at 876-755-3661 or visit our website at uniquelivingja.com to shop.
The future is here with Infinity Cooperative Credit Union Jamaica Limited. Educom and Gateway have joined forces to bring you more convenience, innovation, and opportunities to achieve your dreams. Enjoy excellent service and seamless financial solutions, all designed for your lifestyle. Whether it's loans, savings, or insurance, we're here to make your financial journey effortless. Infinity Cooperative Credit Union Jamaica Limited, where possibilities are endless.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. It's a Friday, and thank God it's Friday. We hope we find you well. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
How are you?
I'm doing quite well. You, sir?
I'm doing all right. Hello to our friends in the bumper-to-bumper commute. Hello to you if you're listening out there in Radioland. And good afternoon to our friends on YouTube. A special good afternoon to Dana Davies' mom. She told me, Mom, in my ear just now, oh, I forgot. Today's my mother's birthday. So, good afternoon to you, Mommy. We're turning our attention this afternoon to what's emerging as a war of words between the police commissioner, Dr. Kevin Blake, and the human rights lobby group, Jamaicans for Justice, on this business of fatal police shootings. Now, the police commissioner has accused JFJ of seeking relevance in its recent condemnation of what it says is the high number of recent police killings. 50 Jamaicans have been killed in police confrontations since the start of the year.
And that's since the start of February 2022, 22 Jamaicans rather, have been cut down by police bullets. This is in addition to the 28 killed in January. That's nearly 3 times the number killed by police when compared to the same 2-month period in 2024. A total of 19 civilians were killed between January and February last year.
Now, those figures were provided by the Independent Commission of Investigations. You know them, that's INDICOM. The police say those killed were marauding criminals who raised their weapons against law enforcement. Now, yesterday, JFJ condemned the killings, noting that at least one Jamaican citizen was being killed daily by the security forces. Here's Mikel Jackson.
The surge in security force fatal shootings has reached an alarming and quite frankly intolerable number. The year-to-date total of police fatal shootings more than doubles the figure for the same period in 2024. This sharp increase is deeply concerning and unacceptable in a democracy. It is certainly unacceptable when one considers Jamaica's population size. If this trend persists, Jamaica risks regressing to the dark days before the establishment of INDICOM, when accountability for such incidents was virtually non-existent. If this trend persists, Jamaica risks eroding the gains that we have made since the establishment of INDICOM, and certainly the gains that we have made in human rights for the past decade. If this trend persists, we see the possibility of us recording significantly high number of police fatal shootings, the highest that we have seen in over a decade, because since the start of 2025, almost every single day we have seen at least one citizen killed by a member of the security force. Again, if this trend persists, it suggests that we are at risk of having over 250 citizens killed by the security force at the end of 2025. We cannot allow this rollback of progress to continue unchecked. No, JFJ makes no pronouncements that these matters are all extrajudicial killings, because we deal and look at these situations on a case-by-case basis. However, there are concerns to be had. When we look at the INDICOM press releases and the INDICOM's incident reports as they report them, we see a standard line. No body-worn cameras were recorded as being issued or worn by the officers assigned to these various operations. We have heard from the JCF leadership that data storage infrastructure is needed to be strengthened to have increased body-worn cameras be procured and deployed. However, we must demand a timeline from the JCF's leadership. We have also been told by the JCF's leadership that 750 body-worn cameras are already deployed and are being utilized. The reasonable question that one should put forward: where are the body-worn cameras in these incidents that have resulted in fatalities? We cannot allow this rollback of progress to continue unchecked. Urgent action is needed to address this crisis and uphold justice and transparency. We must uphold the rule of law, notwithstanding the high crime rate. In fact, it is in times such as these that the rule of law is what must govern our country at all times.
That's Mikel Jackson, Executive Director for Jamaicans for Justice.
You know, Siobhan, I consider Mikel Jackson my friend. Yeah? But I have to part company with her. There are several inconsistencies in the statement there. First, Mikel does not establish, and I suppose she cannot establish at this point, that in the 50 fatal shootings, those shootings were unlawful. And she concedes that. She says it. Right? But then she goes on to make blanket statements about a rollback to a period where I think the established opinion is those killings may have been extrajudicial, therefore unlawful. By comparing what we've seen since the start of the year to what obtained then, Mikel clearly seeks to make the point that there's something untoward or something untoward has happened. one would logically conclude from what she said. The next problem I have are the blanket statements about the rule of law, again suggesting that the rule of law is being undermined. Now, I do not know, and I have not heard from Indicom, that in every instance of the 50 killings, the force used by the police was unlawful. And numbers can tell any story you want them to tell. And sure, 50 sounds like a big number, but in a country where crime is high, criminals are brazen, and they have no hesitation in confronting the security forces and confronting them sometimes in broad daylight, sometimes with civilians around, and posing a threat to life and property. In that kind of situation, I hesitate to say 50 is high. I hesitate.
It's a statistic essentially for a statistic's sake, because as you put it, Ricardo, and well said, that the question should not be the number of individuals fatally shot by police, but the circumstances.
Yes.
And Mikhail raises a valuable point regarding the lack of body-worn cameras
Absolutely.
during police operations,
Yes.
because that leads to the aspect that she says about accountability, because we can't be certain the circumstances and the accountability of those officers in those circumstances where those individuals were killed. But the fact that, yes, there's been an increase in the number of police fatal shootings in and of itself is not a headline statistic unless we have further details as to the circumstances, whether ill or proper, of those shootings.
And you're going to hear from the commissioner shortly, listeners. He makes a claim that Indicom, we need to get clarity from Indicom, that even without the body-worn footage, Indicom is able to conclude, I think he said, about 60% of the investigations, or investigate it to that degree of certainty. So we need that clarification. The commissioner has been saying that the body-worn cameras, the challenges with the background infrastructure that would need to support it. Where are we with that? Because you're right, that's a valid point. Yeah, it should be encouraged, and I think he concedes that in what I heard from him. So we need to speed that up. But I would caution JFJ. I don't necessarily agree with the commissioner that they're simply seeking relevance, but I would caution JFJ not to simply use the blanket number of 50 to suggest that we are regressing. I don't think the number by itself makes that case.
It's a causal fallacy, as they would say in debating parlance, because there could be a number of instances or one number of issues that has given a reason to that rise in fatal shootings.
Are the police coming closer to the criminals? Why
yes.
they're
Do they
more
have more information?
Precisely.
As a result, resulting in more police operations?
Absolutely.
There's many
and
ways
I suspect that is it. I suspect that perhaps is part of it, yeah? But here's the commissioner. He gave a pretty forceful response, a full-throated response. Here's what the police chief had to say.
I've taken note of the Jamaican for Justice's condemnation of what they described as intolerable number of fatal shootings by the security forces. I strongly support the view that the number of fatal shootings is too high. However, the call is wrongly directed and should be aiming at those who make the decision to challenge a far more superior force. And so let me encourage the Jamaican for Justice to be more responsible in their public pronouncements, especially when the nation is aware of its members' proven ability to comprehend the most basic and fundamental principles of security. To suggest that fatal shooting numbers can be reduced by anything other than the unwillingness of persons being apprehended to engage in deadly confrontation with members of the security forces is irresponsible, or at best, advocating for us to relent in our pursuit. We again reiterate the point that those who seek to kill and maim will not be left free and unobstructed to hold communities at ransom and in constant fear. It means we make no apology to stand between these murdering thugs and the people of this country. We also wish to reiterate the idiocy of these criminal elements in seeking to engage the security forces with deadly force and expect not to be responded to with similar force. Ladies and gentlemen, our prisons and police lockups are fully populated with persons who have made the smarter choice of surrendering peacefully to the police. We have had well over 1,000 firearm-related arrests each year. Persons have had their day in court and have, in some instances, been freed of the charges against them. They have all lived to see another day, simply because they choose not to direct deadly force against our members. We have had police officers and soldiers killed and seriously injured in some of these confrontations. It is mandated by policy that every incident of fatal shooting must be followed by a removal from frontline duty and an administrative review. This takes police that would normally be out to protect you, the citizens, off the street. And so, yes, we agree. We need to have less fatal shootings. And so I call upon JFJ to demonstrate to the public that your care is more for the well-being of our citizens and less for the relevance of your organization. And it is hard for me to think otherwise when I know JFJ is fully abreast of the facts. Finally, as I wrap up, this constant call for there to be more accountability over the JCF is in itself a slap in the face of Indicom. Be reminded that that is their single most important mandate. And let me be absolutely clear, lest I am misunderstood or misquoted. I am a full supporter of what Indicom stands for. An effective Indicom assures me that those among us who believe that they are free to break the law will be held to account and be removed from within our ranks. The JCF's effectiveness depends on this. However, I am concerned that the JFJ supports the idea that Indicom's investigation is being hampered because we do not have body-worn camera footage to present to them, even while they have more than 60% of what is required to complete an investigation. And this includes statements from our members who are involved, ballistic information, report on the circumstances surrounding the case, and primacy over the scene. We in the JCF do not have the luxury of taking that position. So let me take this opportunity to reiterate the point that we have been making for some time. We will continue to use our superior intelligence gathering capabilities. We will continue to utilize our superior investigative capacity. We will use our superior operational capabilities, and we will go out and confront those who seek to destabilize our communities by wielding the threat of violence and terror. It continues to be our intention to bring those marauding criminals to justice so that they can have their day in court. Our track record of bringing violent criminals before a judge is beyond question. However, let me say again, when the police come for you, do not raise your weapons against us. Lay down your weapons and have your day in court. But should you choose the foolish option of challenging us with lethal force, know this: I do not train my police to lose. We have the superior training and firepower to ensure that we win every time. Let me encourage every Jamaican who truly believes in justice to work alongside the Jamaica Constabulary Force to continue our mission to bring down violent crime even further this year. And let's create a society where we can all feel safe.
That's the police commissioner, Dr. Kevin Blake. And let me just clarify. So what the commissioner said was that the Indicom has 60% of what they require to complete an investigation. You heard him say there, statements from the police, ballistic information, etc. Can I just admit though, Siobhan, listeners, that I appreciate when my police chief talks tough. I do. And I have to admit that. I think there is a psychological, you could call it just, comfort, but I take some solace in that. Because the truth is, a lot of Jamaicans, psychologically, they feel that the state has ceded ground to criminals. I appreciate a top cop who says, we will match and overpower those who challenge the authority of the state. I appreciate that. I see somebody in the YouTube chat saying civil society has a role to play and we shouldn't dismiss them. I'm not dismissing them. As another comment said in the chat, I've defended JFJ. I am not dismissing civil society, but I appreciate that for far too long, this country has been plagued by violent crime, and sometimes the feeling is that we're losing.
Precisely.
That has been the feeling for far too long. I appreciate feeling like law enforcers and law abiders are winning. I can't lie. Let's take the break and come back with more.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 10 minutes to 6.
Attention! The NWC's amnesty package is here, overflowing with a bucket full of goodies from January 2 to March 31, 2025. Disconnected for over 6 months, residential customers can get a 50% write-off. Pensioners and past beneficiaries get a full write-off on balances over 2 years. Do you have outstanding debt between 90 days and 2 years due to an underground leak? You may qualify for a 25% concession. Plus, enjoy discounts from 30 to 50% depending on your arrears. So, don't delay. Let's hear from you today. Dial 888-225-5692 or 888-CALL-NWC. The NWC's Amnesty Package. Get your share from our bucket full of goodies. Conditions apply.
Jamaica, let's spread the word around to let the world know that we are proud to be one republic. We on the road to republic. Well then, let's propel we nation moving forward in a new direction. True independence, that's the projection. No more dependency, it's the best plan. Yes, we know what's best for us, cause we want we country prosperous. So make we just pull together as the general public while on the road to republic. Jamaica, let's spread the word around to let the world know that we are proud to be one republic. We on the road to republic.
A message from the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
We on the road to republic.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the cover story. We're touching in on this issue again of police fatal shootings. The Jamaicans for Justice, rather, have taken issue with what they see as the rise in the number of police fatal shootings and are suggesting that this could bring us back to the dark days of serious extrajudicial killings. However, Police Commissioner Kevin Blake has hit back, suggesting that no, this is not the case. The police are simply doing their jobs and they intend to carry out those jobs, even with respect to what role Indicom and civil society plays in terms of keeping them accountable in that case. Well, we heard there from Dr. Blake, who explained his position and what he expects from his officers, he expects from Indicom and expects from civil society. However, Ms. Jackson has dismissed some of the commissioner's claims regarding the role of the lobby group in the fight against crime.
We do find it quite unfortunate that the Commissioner has seemingly chosen to issue a blanket defense of every incident resulting in fatality. I would remind the public that there are several instances where the police officers have acted unlawfully, which is why some matters have gone before the courts and police officers have been held to account. So to challenge JFJ and its call for accountability is something that I find deeply concerning coming from the Jamaica Constabulary Force. There is no way we should be looking at a call for accountability as something where an organization is seeking relevance or somehow soften crime. Nothing could be further from the truth. And that is why we take some offense to some of the statements that the police commissioner made.
Michael Jackson there. Ms. Jackson says Dr. Blake's assertion that investigations would not be hindered by a lack of body-worn cameras is deeply troubling. She noted that reports from Indicom have suggested that in some instances, police actions have hindered the advancement of investigations. I'd want to know, and I'm going to check the Indicom reports, in how many instances was this the case, right? Is it the majority? Is it a minority? That's important, that kind of context as to whether the investigations were hindered. Ms. Jackson is calling on Dr. Blake to work with civil society in the fight against crime.
Let us acknowledge that there are some instances where officers act contrary to the law, act contrary to the use of force policies, and let us move in a collaborative effort where JFJ, the JCF, and other members of society can come together and arrest the crime rate that we have in the country. And we would urge the police commissioner to look at the history, the bad history in some instances that has plagued not only the JCF but also the Jamaica Defence Force, where reports coming from Indicom and other allegations from citizens have suggested: 1, crime scenes have been tampered with; 2, firearms and other weapons have been planted. These are not things that JFJ has made up. These are documented things coming from the JCF and Indicom as well.
And you know, Ricardo, the devil is in the details, and I think that is important, and it's something that Ms. Jackson is missing. Because in one instant case, she raises the specter of a statistic, 50 police fatal shootings this year versus 19 last year.
Right.
But no, in this instant case, she relies more on anecdote. So how many instant cases were there where there was tampering with the police scene? How many cases could Indicom provably say that the police acted inappropriately
My
versus the
recollection,
actual statistic of how many fatal shootings took place?
my recollection is that most of Indicom's investigations, I think it's something about 85-90%, the police are exonerated. That's my recollection. As I said, I'll read over the most recent reports, but that's my recollection. And, you know, the truth is, we can't have it both ways as a society. We can't say we want more investment rather, in the capabilities of the force. We can't say we want to see them be more professional. We can't say we want to see them use the technology more. And when they are on that path and it starts to reap results, because to be clear, let me be very clear, when criminals confront the police and they lose, that is a positive outcome. We must not be under any illusion about that. And I think a balance has been struck lately. Certainly it's, well, the Prime Minister highlighted it. This point that you have a choice. You have a choice. Do not confront us. Do not take us on. We will let you have your day. I think I've heard that narrative now pretty consistently, suggesting that there's a commitment to that. Yes, but again, in a high crime society, the criminals have felt emboldened for so long. They have their firepower. They're challenging. They're challenging. I don't want my law enforcers to lose.
And you rightfully said there is going to be an increased sense of tension in situations where law enforcement say, okay, we know they're there. We must now mount an operation to get them. Once that operation starts and they receive a fire from the premises or wherever the criminals find themselves holed up, what is the law enforcement supposed to do? Simply back away and allow that to continue? What message would that send to the public?
Yeah. Let's hope that, you know, the supporting infrastructure for the body-worn cameras can be rolled out as soon as possible.
Yes, that is one aspect. I agree with Michael Jackson.
It's important.
It would give us more insights as to what is taking place during these police operations. Is there something untoward that we are not aware of taking place?
No doubt about that. But I know Michael supports law and order. I know JFJ supports law and order. But we must be careful about the message we send. I take comfort that it seems, I'll say it again, that law enforcement, the state, the authority of the state, is winning. Every Jamaican should be happy for that.
I mean, a functioning society should have both explicit and implicit trust in its law enforcement agencies. And I believe that is something that has been missing, thoroughly missing for years in Jamaican society. So I like to see where it seems to be returning.
Yeah. That's the cover story. The headlines are next.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake has accused human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice JFJ of seeking relevance by its recent condemnation of the high number of recent police killings. Since the start of February, 22 Jamaicans have been cut down by police bullets. This is in addition to the 28 killed in January. That's nearly 3 times the number killed by police when compared to the same 2-month period in 2024. The figures were provided by the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM. On Thursday, Jamaicans for Justice condemned the killings, noting that at least 1 Jamaican citizen is killed daily by security forces. On Friday, the police commissioner, Dr. Kevin Blake, offered a forceful response.
We have had police officers and soldiers killed and seriously injured in some of these confrontations. It is mandated by policy that every incident of fatal shooting must be followed by a removal from frontline duty and an administrative review. This takes police that would normally be out to protect you, the citizens, off the street. And so, yes, we agree. We need to have less fatal shootings. And so I call upon JFJ to demonstrate to the public that your care is more for the well-being of our citizens and less for the relevance of your organization. And it is hard for me to think otherwise when I know JFJ is fully abreast of the facts.
Dr. Blake says JFJ's condemnation of the police is misplaced.
I strongly support the view that the number of fatal shootings is too high. However, the call is wrongly directed and should be aiming at those who make the decision to challenge a far more superior force. And so let me encourage Jamaican for Justice to be more responsible in their public pronouncements, especially when the nation is aware of its members' proven ability to comprehend the most basic and fundamental principles of security. To suggest that fatal shooting numbers can be reduced by anything other than the unwillingness of persons being apprehended to engage in deadly confrontation with members of the security forces is irresponsible, or at best, advocating for us to relent in our pursuit.
That's Dr. Kevin Blake, Commissioner of Police. And Executive Director of JFJ, Michael Jackson, has dismissed the Commissioner's claims that the lobby group is seeking relevance.
We do find it quite unfortunate that the Commissioner has seemingly chosen to issue a blanket defense of every incident resulting in fatality. I would remind the public that there are several instances where the police officers have acted unlawfully, which is why some matters have gone before the courts and police officers have been held to account. So to challenge JFJ and its call for accountability is something that I find deeply concerning coming from the Jamaica Constabulary Force. There is no way we should be looking at a call for accountability as something where an organization is seeking relevance or somehow soften crime. Nothing could be further from the truth. And that is why we take some offense to some of the statements that the police commissioner made.
Ms. Jackson says Dr. Blake's assertion that investigations would not be hindered by a lack of body cameras is deeply troubling. She notes that reports from Indicom have suggested that in some instances, police actions have hindered the advancement of investigations. Ms. Jackson is calling on Dr. Blake to work with civil society in the fight against crime.
Let us acknowledge that there are some instances where officers act contrary to the law, act contrary to the use of force policies, and let us move in a collaborative effort where JFJ, the JCF, and other members of society can come together and arrest the crime rate that we have in the country. And we would urge the police commissioner to look at the history, the bad history in some instances that have plagued not only the JCF but also the Jamaica Defence Force, where reports coming from Indicom and other allegations from citizens have suggested: 1, crime scenes have been tampered with; 2, firearms and other weapons have been planted. These are not things that JFJ have made up. These are documented things coming from the JCF and Indicom as well.
Michael Jackson, Executive Director at Jamaicans for Justice. A former policewoman died after shooting herself in the head Friday morning. She has been identified as 48-year-old Alsania Flinch. The police say the incident occurred in Exchange St. Anne shortly after 10 in the morning. Reports are that the former policewoman was seen in a chartered taxi returning from the Firearm Licensing Authority office in Discovery Bay, St. Anne, where she had picked up her firearm from storage. It's understood when the cab reached the vicinity of Exchange District, the driver heard the weapon being charged. The former policewoman is said to have then shot herself in the head. The taxi driver turned around and drove her to St. Anne's Bay Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Senior Superintendent of Police in charge of St. Anne, Dwight Powell, said investigations were continuing. Flinch resigned from the Jamaica Constabulary Force in July last year. She last served in St. Mary. Education Minister Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon says her ministry has partnered with the Health Ministry to assist in resolving the safety issues at the Retirement Primary School in St. Elizabeth. This follows a machete attack on an ancillary worker at the school. The worker was reportedly attacked by a man of unsound mind on Tuesday morning.
Now, the safety of our students and our teachers is paramount. And so I was really very disturbed when I heard the story. And to know that it wasn't the first time made it even worse. As a ministry, we have committed to building the fence. We actually are out to procure the fence, which is important. So that's one element. The individual was arrested and was in custody, but they needed more than that. And so the Ministry of Health is now working with that individual to provide treatment, because they need treatment, which is the key thing.
In October 2022, the same attacker walked onto the school grounds and chopped the then principal in the head and upper body. This led to calls for a perimeter fence to be built at the school to protect staff and students. Minister Morris Dixon says more will be needed in the future to enhance security at the school.
And so we see these issues happening around the country, and it is important that our communities be vigilant, and also that these individuals are able to get the kind of care that they need, because he has obviously been at the school several times and has been an issue for a long time. And so I think the issue is we have to address the security concern with the fence, but we also have to have a longer term solution in relation to his care. And I'm very happy that the Ministry of Health has stepped in and has committed to providing that care. And also the community has said that they will also be more vigilant and work with the police if there are any other incidents.
Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Education, she was speaking at a post-cabinet media briefing at the office of the Prime Minister on Wednesday. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Yeah, here? If you're tired of a cluttered office space, then you need to call Corporate Interiors International. We offer top quality industrial shelving, filing cabinets, and storage cabinets to keep your workspace organized and efficient, plus comfortable office chairs that will keep your team productive and focused. Visit us today at corporateinteriorsjm.com or call us at 876-630-0010 for more information. Corporate Interiors International. We sell solutions, not just furniture.
Get ready to receive your share of a bucket full of goodies from the NWC.
That's so nice, eh?
From January 2 to March 31, 2025, you could benefit from the debt amnesty.
Tell me more.
NWC has amnesty offers that include 50% write-offs, 100% on balances over 2 years, and 25 to 50% on balances depending on the age of the balance.
Who can qualify?
Practically anyone with arrears. If your residential account is disconnected for 6 months or more, you qualify. Or if you are a pensioner or path beneficiary with a balance over 2 years, you qualify. Plus, commercial and residential accounts with balances over 2 years also qualify for discounts. Call 888-225-5692. Check the NWC website or visit any NWC office today.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Raby. We start by diving into the pool as Immaculate Conception High scored 451 points to retain the girls' title at the ASAJ High School and the tertiary swim meet at the stadium pool today. They were followed by St. Andrew High with 261, with Campion College third with 256 points. Chanel Hill is the coach of Immaculate.
Yes, I'm extremely proud, especially because I have 15 students outstanding due to 6 weeks. They didn't want to miss it, so they are not here, but because we have the depth, we are still able to come off with the win. So we have our 11-12 team that consists of Leah, Mia Reed, Layla, and Addison. They broke the 200-meter freestyle relay. It was 2:06, and they did it in 2:02.
On the boys' side, Woolmer's won with 392 points, with Campion College second on 311.5 points, and the Kingston College third with 212.5 points. Coach of Woolmer's, Kafia Rapley, had no doubt her team would win.
At this point, we are very confident that we will take the meet. We have had the morning session and we have fared out very well. And the evening session, we are expecting to do the same.
Coach Kafia Rapley. Now to cricket, as Rashada Williams will captain Jamaica's team in the CG United Women's Super 50 Cup in St. Kitts and Nevis from February 24 to March 7. She'll get support from former skipper Stephanie Taylor and Shadeen Nation. Jamaica's first match will be against Trinidad and Tobago at Warner Park starting February 24. The other members of the squad are Abigail Bryce, Nicole Campbell, Corinne Howell, Krishana Mackenzie, Jodie Ann Morgan, Rashana Otter, Lena Scott, Nisha Anwies Mosom, Vanessa Watts, Celine White, and Kada Wilmot. The 6 regional franchises have named their squad to compete in 5 rounds and a final in the 12-day tournament. Minister of Sports Oliver Grange has dismissed suggestions that the government of Jamaica is not supportive of cricket. Minister Grange says her ministry has been working hard in assisting Jamaica and the West Indies return to the pinnacle and world and regional cricket. She says the government has allocated over $70 million to refurbish the lights at Sabina Park.
Once the president of the JC got in touch with me and said, we have an emergency. We need lights at Sabina Park because we have matches that's going to take place. And certainly there's a tour set for July and we have to do night cricket. So we need lights. I said to the president, consider it done. I'm going to find the money to get you the lights. So I've identified the funds, but we're just tidying up a little technicality with the president, and we will be providing the advance shortly to secure the lights. It's going to be a total approximately $75 million, but we are going to ensure that it's done. So I just want to say to all those who say the government don't like cricket, that's not true. That is absolutely not true.
Olivia Grange. The chairman of the Entries and Registration Committee, Ryan Peralta, says track and field lovers will not want to miss the 48th staging of the Gibson McCook Relays. The annual relay carnival is set for the National Stadium on Saturday. Peralta says there will be something for everyone.
You got to come. I just put it as plain as that. You're going to see people there who are world performers, both the senior athletes as well as high schoolers who are great, promising young people. So it's going to be exciting. 1. 2, the events themselves are going to be run. They are run as usual on a timetable. So that's about discipline and how the meet is run. The other thing is too, it's a meet, and this is one of the things that World Athletics requires. It's a meet that when you come, everything is clean, the look is clean, but there's also the excitement at the same time of the different events. Just a thrilling thing to see a 4x1. I was telling somebody, when you come around the bend at the top of the 150-meter mark there and you hear the crowd go, ooh. I mean, you can't get that from the TV.
Ryan Peralta. Now to football, as Edith Dalton James High maintained their 100% win record with a 3-1 triumph over Eltham in the Issa Tip Friendly Society Schoolgirls football competition today. Now to boxing, as Jamaican-born Cayman Island boxer Jaden Eccleston will take on Kevona Willis in the light heavyweight division of the Futures Gloves Over Guns Initiative Fight Night at the Standard Coach Gym on Saturday. Eccleston, nicknamed Mad Slug, will be competing in his second professional fight after his successful debut in November. His coach, Floyd Trumpet, described the fight as must-win.
Unlike the amateur game, where you can lose a fight without much fanfare or much setback, because you may lose in the semifinals and still get a medal at a major championships. But in the professional game, each fight is a must-win fight, because the longer you stay undefeated, it's better for you in the end. So we are confident. We had a pretty good preparation, and I think we're going to win this fight and then move on to our third fight on April 5th.
Jaden Eccleston, there are 10 other fights on the card. Veteran cricket commentator Joseph Rez Pereira, who lives in St. Lucia, says the island is gearing up to host the 3-day AMBC Invitational Boxing Championships starting February 28. Pereira says 9 countries are registered to compete.
For the first time, there'll be a Puerto Rico team. Bahamas, Guyana, Trinidad, Tobago are expected to have great competitions. We can also feel that the smaller countries hope to pick up a medal or two. Martinique, Guadeloupe, St. Lucia, the host country, Grenada, St. Martin, and I think the president of the St. Lucia Boxing Association, David Christopher, said there'll be over 100 boxers. It'll be held at the indoor auditorium to ensure that rain cannot interrupt the program.
Pereira says the organizers have made the event more accessible to women.
They've decided that women will be free along with any young girl or boy under 15 years of age. So we expect a quality tournament over 3 nights, and it's all part of the St. Lucia Independence celebrations.
Joseph Rez Pereira. And finally, in the Olympics, political infighting and cost blowouts surrounding Brisbane's 2032 Olympic Games preparation have brought sharp criticism from former Queensland Premier. Brisbane, being named host of the 2032 Olympic Games, was once hailed as a crowning achievement for Queensland, but mounting concerns about delays, skyrocketing costs, and political infighting have raised major concerns. However, President of the Jamaica Olympic Association, Christopher Samuda, says what is currently facing Queenslanders is not uncommon.
The current infrastructural delays and other challenges facing Brisbane 2032, which have precipitated political vitriol and crossfire from sporting interest groups, are really not altogether a unique occurrence, as history tells us that host cities leading up to major games always grapple with disputes of one kind or another, and there are even political casualties as a result. Venue selection, logistic issues, labor disputes, increasing infrastructural costs, and marketing strategies are some high-maintenance matters that continue to attract controversy.
Samuda says the authorities and the local organizing committee must act quickly to resolve matters amicably.
Too much is at stake for the citizens of the capital, Brisbane, not to find common ground in protecting their sporting reputation, heritage, culture, and economy. And if, as is reported, the situation has been described as a hot mess by a former state premier, then those who supported successfully the bid in 2021 should move quickly to bell the cat down yonder before they come under fire for buying the proverbial puss in bag. But having experienced for myself the 2018 Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast, though small in size, I'm sure that the fires in Brisbane will become embers, and public and private functionaries will deliver an all-for-one and one-for-all games.
Christopher Samuda. Before I go, let me say good evening to Hermin, Patrick, and SH, and the entire YouTube family. I'm Alex Ribby, and that's my sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
30 degrees Celsius in City Kingston and 27 in Montego Bay.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come with me, let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
This is a public advisory. On Sunday, February 23, the Mayor's Parlor will be aired from 12:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. We do apologize for any inconvenience caused.
Undeniable that we should be together.
The true beauty of music is that it connects people. It carries a message. It speaks to you. It changes you. And that's exactly what we do just for you every Sunday as we take you to Urban Paradise, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Urban Paradise is our weekly musical journey that will serve up 110 glorious minutes of positive storytelling through music, mixed in with inspirational features to provoke thought and to heal the soul.
Like a dream come true, just wanna be with you.
So join me, Diane Ashton Smith, this and every Sunday, 9:10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. Urban Paradise, opening our hearts, connecting to others.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome, my people, to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams. A special good evening to our friends over on our YouTube platform who can see me, who can hear me. We welcome you, and we ask you to weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. It is a Friday. So much happened throughout the week, and we've made it to the end of yet another week. We're grateful. And as such, we're closing the curtains on Reggae Month, February. Almost there. Today's the 21st. Now, Reggae Month is a time to celebrate the music. I mean, we celebrate it year-round, but we specifically have February as Reggae Month. We celebrate the music, the culture, and the legends who have shaped this globally recognized genre. From conscious lyrics of the greats to the rhythm that moves us, reggae has left an undeniable mark on the world. So today, we want to hear from you as we honor the icons of reggae. Tell us, who are your top 5 reggae artists of all time? Is it the legendary Bob Marley, the smooth sounds of Beres Hammond, or perhaps the fire of Peter Tosh? We want to hear from you. So in Public Opinion once more, we celebrate Reggae Month. Who are your top 5 reggae artists of all time? Hands down. Who them be? On Instagram right away, Hyatt Herman says Beres, Romain, Dennis Brown, Marcia Griffiths, and Luciano. Solid. That's solid right there. Legendary One says, as a 90s baby, I say Richie Spice, I Win, Sizzler, Morgan Heritage, yes, and Capleton with many, many honorable mentions. All right, solid. We've had some solid responses. Let me see on X. Kevin O'Brien Chang saying his top 5 Jamaican artists: John Holt, Gregory Isaacs, Toots Hibbert, Supercat, and Beanie Man. That not sound bad. Yeah, Kevin. Nice choices there. Colleen Brown says Dennis Brown, John Holt, Joseph Hill, Sizzler, and Junior Gong. Yeah. All right. Pacha said Peter Tosh, Dennis Brown, Maxi Priest, Marcia Griffiths, and Morgan Heritage. Yeah. For me, Morgan Heritage has to be in the mix for me. Denise Mackenzie says Beres, Sanchez, Bob Marley, Dennis and Marcia. All right. We've been hearing these names, so I'm going to continue. Don O'Mealy says the Gong, of course, heads the list. Tosh is second. Dennis Brown, Jimmy Cliff, rounding out the list is Maxi Priest. All right. Who are your top 5 reggae artists of all time? I soon come over to our YouTube chat to hear what is being said about our reggae icons. McHugh is asking if I'm going to sing my choices. Lord of mercy. Me can try. Me can try a thing. All right. Real Asa is saying Peter Tosh, Beres Hammond, Gregory Isaacs, Beanie Man, and he's saying Queen Ifrica or Lady Saw. Yeah, new names there. Ekel is saying Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Dennis Brown, Toots, and Bob Andy. Yeah, got that one. Let me see. On our YouTube platform, let me see. I'm starting from the bottom going up. Why? Rayon Wright says Dennis Brown, Bob Marley, Sanchez, Alton Ellis, and Sizzler. Yeah. Robert McKenzie says top 1 for me, only the Crown Prince of Reggae. Yeah. For Lillian is saying that Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaacs, Beres Hammond, Bob Marley, and John Holt are her top 5 reggae artists of all time. Let's see now for Chinbella. Chinbella said Bob Marley, John Holt, Gregory Isaacs, Morgan Heritage, and Marcia Griffiths. And we've been seeing these names. Yeah? Solid names we've been seeing. Top reggae artists of all time. Jean Sellers is saying Maxi Priest, Bob, Morgan Heritage, John Holt, and Beres. Love me some Beres. Mona Smith saying Bob Marley, Buju, Beres, Romain Virgo, and Morgan Heritage. Love me some Romain Virgo. Strategy, Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Toots and the Maytals, and Beres Hammond. And we seem to be hearing these names. These names are common, and these are solid picks. SKV Wall is saying Garnet Silk, Beres Hammond, Gregory Isaacs, Buju Banton, and Morgan Heritage. Love me some Buju, when he came out, loved the concert. Let me see. Thank you, New Willie. All right. I'm seeing Capleton, Sizzler, Luciano, I Wayne, and Bounty Killer coming from Omar Clark. Chris Mullings is saying that Bob Marley, Third World, Marcia Griffiths, Jimmy Cliff, and Morgan Heritage are his pick. Yeah? RD says Garnet Silk, short career but impactful. All right, here's a new one. Hameen is saying Jimmy, Bob, Marcia, and Freddie. Lucille. Taurus Riley. Yes, Singy. Yeah, my pick as well. He's in my pick. I'm royal. Yeah, are you royal? But yes, Taurus Riley Afabina, my pick. Beres Hammond also. Morgan Heritage. I said that. Gramps. Love Gramps. Alton Ellis and Ken Booth here coming from Eddie Pedro. Yeah. Sizzler. Sibi says Sizzler, Spice, Sanchez singing melody. Okay, Spice. Reggae-matic is saying Toots and the Maytals Run Festival Unstoppable. Yeah. Juliet Sanchez said, I used to like Buju, but not anymore. I wonder why, Juliet. I wonder why. On our Facebook platform, Shirley Brown says Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaac, Luciano, George Nooks, Beres Hammond. Yeah? I'm seeing a lot here. Natalie Winter saying Beres Hammond, Morgan Heritage, Bob Marley, Third World, Gregory Isaac, and a whole list, she says, among others. Philip Jackson says Bob, Beres, Dennis Brown, Culture and Toots. Is that Toots? Toots and the Maytals, Philip? A lot of comments coming in on this one. And it goes to show that on a love on a reggae music, on a love on a reggae music. And we appreciate good, conscious, uplifting music. We do. Yeah? San says, I will give you 6. Beres, Bob Marley, Shaggy. Yeah, new name to the list. Shaggy, Buju, and Lady Saw, plus Sanchez. All right, San, big up yourself. Robert, Missy, Firebone, yes? Missy Firebone Payo. Blessings to each and everybody who's in the hearing of my voice. Asking you for your top 5 reggae artists. We're celebrating Reggae Month. Nathan Gale. Me can't read that one day, man. I'm going to read that one day, Leonard Seville says Dennis Brown, Barrington Levy, Gregory Isaac, Bob Marley, Frankie Paul. New name to the list. Reggae-matic says the Heptones, best group. Yeah? Leroy Erotic, greetings to you. Yeah? Derek Morgan, Ronska, not Prince. Okay. Lone Robinson says Mighty Diamond. As I said before, we appreciate good music. Good, uplifting music. Love those. There's Isaac saying, Robian waiting on the beautiful singing before the business report. Which song you want me to sing? I don't know. Like you caught me off guard. I don't know. I'm caught off guard. I didn't know that you expect me to sing one. She's royal, yay, so royal. And I want her in my life. I never know anyone so one of a kind. Yeah, the way she moved to her only beat. She has the qualities of a queen. She's a queen. And when you ask what a good woman's made of, she's not afraid and ashamed of who she is. Come down, Robian, come down. I am royal, you're royal, we're all royal. Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. Do look forward to it on a daily basis. The business report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:33.
Annual eye examinations not only assess your vision but may be life-saving. Eye tests may detect serious health issues that go beyond your vision. Call IQ Optical to schedule your comprehensive eye test today.
The temperature by IQ Optical is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Apple is taking the unprecedented step of removing its highest level data security tool from customers in the UK after the government demanded access to user data. Advanced Data Protection ADP means only account holders can view items such as photos or documents they have stored online through a process known as end-to-end encryption. But earlier this month, the UK government asked for the right to see the data which currently not even Apple can access. Apple did not comment at the time, but has consistently opposed creating a backdoor in its encryption service, arguing that if it did so, it would only be a matter of time before bad actors also found a way in. Now the tech giant has decided it will no longer be possible to activate ADP in the UK. The Trump administration is planning to lay off more than 6,000 employees by the end of the week at the Internal Revenue Service, IRS. IRS is the agency responsible for managing the country's taxation system. Now, the cuts to the agency, part of the Treasury Department, come in the middle of U.S. tax season when millions of Americans and businesses turn to the agency to submit their taxation documents. Half of the cuts will hit an office known as the Small Business Self-Employed SBSE division. And in our currency markets at the close of trading, it cost 158 Jamaican dollars and 31 cents to buy $1 US, 196 Jamaican dollars and 92 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 111 Jamaican dollars and 89 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Have a wonderful weekend. Please, me, I beg no, be safe on the road. Good evening.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Our Total Tools. Beat waka figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
When last you get good bun, you don't know good bun until you have a mother's bakery bun. From you pull open the wrapper and it's soft so till. A sub bun for nice. And from when you take the first bite, love it so till. A sub bun for nice. Beg your piece.
Get your own mother's bakery bun.
I will buy one off you.
Yes, but I will charge a convenience fee.
I will take one.
Me too.
Mother's bakery buns. A sub bun for nice. Try them today.
Hello, Jamaica. Are you ready for the Coveside Concert Series? Well, here we go. One Drop, Saturday, February 22nd, featuring Barrington Levy, Graham Smorgan, Luciano, and Dance Expression. Tickets are at Fesco, Chicken and Things, Bramwell, Texaco, Sharky's and Plantation Smokehouse. Showtime is 7 p.m. One Drop, Saturday, February 22nd, Barrington Levy, Graham Smorgan, Luciano, Plantation Cove, St. Anne.
Tickets at Coveside.aitis.com.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come and wine with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat,
life skills,
global connect, and Bust the Youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show. Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking them beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Good evening, listeners and viewers. It's 6:40 and it's time for the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell. We turn to the matters of agriculture. According to data presented by the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, agriculture suffered a severe hit for the final quarter of 2024. It fell by 12%. For the entire year, it fell by 3.4%. The data was presented at a media briefing on Wednesday. Mining and quarrying also declined by 3.2% in the last quarter. Both industries fell by 0.4% for 2024. In the meantime, the Agriculture Minister is set to receive $20.6 billion in combined capital and recurrent expenditure for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. This is according to the estimates of expenditure for the year 2025-2026 that were tabled last week. According to the document, the ministry received $21.7 billion in both capital and recurrent expenditure for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, which is the current fiscal year we are in. We have to discuss this and other developments in the industries for his portfolio. Floyd Green, Minister Floyd Green. Good evening, Minister. How are you, sir?
Not too bad. Good evening, Ricardo. Even to all your listeners and viewers.
It's Siobhan, actually. It's just Siobhan right now.
Sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Message.
Okay, so Minister, we did not have a good year for agriculture in 2024, unfortunately. And I suppose we can chalk that up to the impacts of Hurricane Beryl and Tropical Storm Raphael. What seems to be the problem then going into 2025? Is that one of, I suppose, resilience and climate-related issues?
So we had a very challenging year, and to put the year in perspective, we went through almost all of the elements that really impact agriculture in 2024. We started the year in drought, Siobhan. In fact, our first intervention was in relation to drought, and then we went into our earliest ever hurricane, which came at a very bad time, and it was a significant hurricane that impacted some of our most productive parishes. In fact, Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth account for more than a third of our total production. So that was a massive blow, and then we did get out, and 2 weeks after we were working with the farmers to lead recovery, but unfortunately, Tropical Storm Raphael again came at the worst possible time. That was the end of October, and to compound that, we had our wettest November ever in our 30-year history. So we really had all the elements. I say to people what Beryl did do in relation to all the wind damage it caused, Raphael did in relation to all the rain damage it caused, and then November. So, despite all of this, I think it is a testament to the resilience of our farmers that we started the year with 2 quarters of growth, ended the year with 2 quarters of decline, and despite the last quarter being a 12% decline, overall we are down 3%. So I think it's still a testament to the resilience, but it does say to us that we continue to have significant challenges with weather-related events. So it's always about how can we better prepare for these weather-related events, and clearly we would have taken 2024 to put us in a better position for 2025. So when we look at the fact that we are already in the dry period, we have already started that intervention. So it's always always about how can we put in place more robust resilience mechanisms to be able to cope with the weather-related challenges.
And then let's turn now to the budget. Based on my just surface reading of it, it would seem that you're actually receiving less money both on recurrent and capital sides, about $1 billion, $2 billion total less across both categories heading into the next financial year. How is that going to be of assistance then to the agriculture and mining sectors in terms of building that resilience?
So it would seem that way, but that is not a true picture. In terms of, if you look at our budget for 2024 to 2025, in terms of where we ended at, you would have had to factor in the $1.4 billion that was given to the sector to drive our recovery efforts. So that would not be repeated in this budget. So automatically you would see a budget that's less $1.4 billion because clearly that was recovery for last year. When we look at the main areas, we are seeing consistency, and we're happy for that. So, for example, our main support to farmers is done through our production incentive program. And when we started as a government in 2016, that production incentive program was about $200 million, and it's less than $300 million. We have steadily grown that, and over the last 3 years, in fact, we did have as one of our manifesto items that we would move that to $1 billion, and we've done that. And this year, it's $1.2 billion, which is the highest. Last year was about 1.1 something. So we've seen an increase in that, which gives us more opportunity to provide direct support to our farmers. But outside of that, to deal with things like infusing more technology, deal with things like equipment, tractors, to help in land preparation. So we do have that. Another major element is like our farm road program. Again, when we started, the farm road program was less than $200 million. We have grown that steadily. Last year we started with $670 million, and then to hurricane response, we got an additional $200 million. This year from the start we're at about $900 million. So already that's an increase on last year. So in some of the main areas, we are seeing an increase. Clearly some of our projects, our big projects, are coming to an end. So for example, let's take Essex Valley. Essex Valley last year we would have had about $3 billion thereabout, based on where we were in that trajectory. We only have one element left in the Essex Valley project, and that's to get to our pumps, and that's a little over $1 billion. So you would see a decline on the capital side for that. But thankfully, we have seen allocation on the capital side now to treat with our Pedro Plains irrigation scheme, which we are breaking ground for. So all in all, when we review the budget, we believe it's significant and substantial to help us continue the recovery, but also to lead growth. And this year, what we're going for is accelerated growth across agriculture and mining.
Okay, stay with us, Minister. We have a break.
This Time Signal is sponsored by Janet Global Accreditation, an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. The time is now.
It's 6:47.
You can have it all. Company events, birthday parties, or the wedding of your dreams. It's all possible at Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts. We have magnificent event rooms and a dedicated team that will make your event the best experience that only Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts can offer. Contact us at 876-619-0000 or call your favorite travel agency and ask about our promotion designed especially for you.
If you owe the NWC for more than 2 years, your aged debt may qualify for a 30%, 35%, 40%, or even up to 50% discounts, depending on its age and other special circumstances. Visit nwcjamaica.com for further information. Don't delay. Let's hear from you today. Dial 888-225-5692 or 888-CALL NWC. Get your share from the NWC's bucket full of goodies, serving you in so many ways.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the Nation's Business. We're talking about agriculture as well as mining with the Portfolio Minister, Floyd Green. So explain to me, Minister Green, you suggest that while there is a reduction, that we're still essentially meeting many of the programs that are required. But speak to me about then resilience, this matter of making or making our industries more climate resilient, considering we are, as you pointed out, suffering a lot from matters such as weather-related shocks. We're heading into, as you pointed out, a dry season that is coming off of one extreme hurricane-related issues. How are we tackling that problem?
Yeah, so we're doing a couple of things, and again, just to make the point. So what you would see in terms of the budget that we ended at last year, at least 1.4 of it had to do with hurricane recovery, so that would not be there for this year. But in terms of building out resilience, we're doing a number of things. I think on the access to water side, which based on the realities of our new climate, it's getting more difficult for our farmers to get water. We are expanding our irrigation services. So we do have 2 new irrigation schemes that will come on stream this year as part of our Southern Plains project, and that's in Parnassus and in Amity Hall. And that will help our farmers to be able to farm during the dry period. So each year we look to see how we can expand that and get better. Essex Valley should be on stream in 2026, and we're going to break ground for Pedro Plains, which is a multiple-year program that will be done in phases to start giving water to farmers at least 2.5 years after the project starts. So that's important. But some of the practical short-term things that we have been doing, Siobhan, for example, is that we've been doing catchment ponds. Right, so we've done about 11 catchment ponds last year, and we do that in communities of farmers or even for private farmers, individual farmers. If they put in the infrastructure, we provide them with the pond liner. For communities of farmers, we do all of it, like Hindstone and over there in New Pen. And what that does is that in times of heavy rain, so for example, I was in Kirkvine yesterday, and they have not seen rain since November, but their catchment pond is still almost full because there was so much rain in November. They're able to catch that and to use that now during the dry period. So we continue to build out that resilience. We do have short-term interventions, so we've allocated $134 million to do some trucking and also to do some tanks and some drip irrigation systems. Again, that builds a longer-term resilience so that you store and you use the water in a more efficient manner. So that's in relation to our drought, and we are seeing longer droughts. In relation to what we're seeing in terms of rainfall, more extensive, much shorter periods of rainfall, what we have been doing is working with the farmers in relation to design, helping the farmers to enter into protected agricultural structures, helping them in terms of the training, how to utilize those protected agricultural structures. I think that's very, very important. But the other thing that we're looking to roll out a lot of this year is how can we use the equipment, the machinery to make us more efficient. We are partnering with the FAO to do some smart farms where we will put devices in the soil that will automatically trigger when you irrigate and when you don't irrigate. We are working with RADA to develop a RADA app. We are purchasing some new tractors just to make us more efficient, because what it means is that when you do have the weather that's suitable for farming, that you're able to be most productive. Last thing I'll say is storage, and we've spoken about it. When we do farm and we do get the production numbers, and I visited a farmer in Amity Hall, Mr. Delaney, young farmer, and he said to me, Minister, you know what I'm doing now? I realize that I have to get in as much sweet corn now for the next 4 months, right? When he does and ramps up his production, the challenge that he has is somewhere to store it to extend the shelf life. And we have said we're spending $1 billion this year to put in storage. We would have broken ground in Kirkvine yesterday for the first of one of those projects. It's $123 million that we're going to do some 40-foot containers to do cold and dry storage. So what we're looking at, Chairman, is kind of a holistic approach. One, better be able to treat with the weather events, but also storage, things of that nature, to make our farmers more efficient and productive.
Okay, before I turn to the matters of mining and quarrying, because those are also their own issues that need to be contended with, where are we in terms of the recovery from those shocks going into 2025? I understand we're in the midst of an egg shortage, and there are still some crops that are still somewhat difficult to come by as a result of the weather issues.
In some areas, we're doing extremely well. We've seen a number of our vegetable lines, despite suffering a double blow, because they suffered the Beryl and then the Raphael blow. We're seeing them recover well. So as you know, and if you follow the prices, things like tomatoes, sweet peppers, cabbage, lettuce are in very good supply across our market spaces. Carrot, very good supply across our market spaces. We're still having some challenges with some of our fruit lines, especially our vine fruits, melon, cantaloupe, honeydew. those are still going through a difficult time. Again, they would have suffered a double blow. But we're working with the farmers. We've gone into another round of seed distribution to help our farmers in that regard. Our banana farmers, normally we see about 9 months for recovery, but we saw a quicker recovery for our banana and planted farmers. Again, that sector saw about 70% damage from the heavy winds, but we're seeing bananas re-emerge, both green, ripe, and also planting re-emerge, and that will continue. Egg farmers are going through a tough time. Again, we lost about 43,000 laying hens in Hurricane Beryl. The ministry would have provided support and would have distributed about 50,000 hens to try and replace what was lost, but we are seeing also a downturn in just production from the hens that are out there. And part of it has to do with the trauma of Hurricane Beryl, but then the weather in relation to November and in relation to October. So we have forecasted a downturn in egg production for January to June. We do expect that by July we will see a full rebound. We have been self-sufficient in table eggs for a number of years now, so this is a significant challenge, but what we are looking to do is to ensure that our bakeries and our hoteliers will have the sort of liquid egg supply that they need so that we will be able to supply our retail sector with all the whole eggs that our consumers are looking for. So we do believe that we will see some stability in that regard based on the intervention for the next few months.
Oh, so I think, based on what you're telling me, Minister, I ask to be corrected here. We should not expect a stable supply of table eggs until about July, June.
So July to June, we'll get back to our regular production numbers. We have forecasted about a 20% decline. But what we are doing now, so clearly, all our table eggs that we would supply, so let us say between January and July, we would produce 120 million eggs, right? Those eggs would be across retail, when you go to the supermarket and purchase, or you go to your shop down the road and you purchase. And also those eggs would go into bakeries. Those eggs would go into our liquid egg trade for hotels. What we're doing is that we have forecasted about 96 billion in terms of production. So we're going to allow our bakeries and wholesalers to tap into external supplies for powdered or liquid eggs so that we will have the sort of supply that we need for the retail trade. So while the production numbers are down, we're making some interventions to drive stability across the retail side so that when people go out, consumers go out, they will be able to get eggs. Come the mid-year, we expect that we won't need external supplies and things will be back to normal unless there's a major shock.
Understood. But the ban on imported table eggs stands.
That stands. We will not be importing table eggs. And clearly we have also seen that a number of our nearshore countries that we would normally get supplies from are facing their own egg crisis. In fact, if people is following what's happening in the U.S., largely because of outbreaks of bird flu, they are seeing significant shortages. They are seeing significant rationing of eggs. So we have said to our veterinary services division to work with our main companies that does hatching eggs and pullets, and to look at other marketplaces like Belgium and the Netherlands to see if we can tap into that.
Understood. Then onto the matters of mining and quarrying, Minister. I remembered back when we brought that Noranda bauxite plant back online and the expectations for the industry going forward. Unfortunately, those expectations have not been met. It seems over the last few years, mining just has not grown to its potential. What is happening?
So remember, we've had some significant challenges, and a lot of them have been external to the sector. So the fire at Jamalco would have set back our production numbers significantly. Jamalco started recovery last year, and we saw that. In fact, 1% of our 2% growth last year was because of mining and quarrying. So that was with Jamaica coming back on stream. Unfortunately, this year Beryl did some damage to the port, and that would have reduced their production output, reduced their exploitation. The port is back up and running now, and as such, we expect those to see an uptick. Noranda also had their own challenges. You will remember that at one point there was injunction in relation to one of their mining leases, and as such that would have stopped them from being able to mine. That has been lifted and then started back. It was a slow restart. And one of the things that I did early in the year was sit down with the Noranda team, which is now Discovery Bauxite, and to see what are their plans for this year, to see how they are on the capital side. They did go through a period where they had some challenges in relation to their liabilities. They have dealt with the vast majority of those, and they are bullish on this year. In fact, they are looking to ramp up production this year. They are looking to export more this year, and they have started greater investments in the plant for this year. So we're hopeful and we'll continue to monitor that. Jamalco, we expect that we will see good numbers coming out of Jamalco. UC Russell has been very consistent. To give them credit, they did do some work in treating with their environmental issues, putting in a new holding pond. And with all the rains that we had last year, that pond held up well. We haven't heard any reports of any sort of pollution incidents, and that is something that we're very grateful for, and we'll continue to monitor that. We do have a meeting with GISCO just to see what are their plans. We had expected that they would have supplied us with a reopening plan towards the end of last year. They did reach out to indicate that there were some delays, and we want to get a clear picture in relation to their reopening. But the other three plans that we have operational, we do expect that they will have a good year for this year, and that we will see mining growth, and that mining, fisheries and agriculture will really lead the rebound of the Jamaican economy. We understand that we are the heartbeat of the Jamaican economy. When we do well, the country does well, and we're going to be driving growth in everything we do. The Prime Minister said we have to accelerate the pace, we have to focus on the next chapter, we have to pivot, and that's what we're going to be doing.
And before I let you go, Minister, I do want to focus on that matter of the GISCO Alpart plan. Based on your discussions with GQuan Iron and Steel, do you get a sense that they have the interest in making those investments necessary to bring the plant back online?
I get a clear sense that they want to bring the plant back online, and I've met with them multiple times last year. I toured the plant with them. They sent down a new team that's based here. They've done a number of things, including treated some outstanding matters, which we are grateful for, and they also did some work on the Mud Lake. You realize you never really heard any complaints this year in relation to dust and things of that nature because of some of the investments that they have made. I get the clear impression that they want to get the plant back up and running. Now, they have had to go through a significant process of costing what that would take, because each year that you have a plant that's been mothballed, it gets a little bit more expensive to get it restarted. I think they now appreciate that it would require a complete rebuild, and based on the meetings that I've had with them and with their partners, they have been looking for partnerships to see how they can drive the investment in the shortest possible time. So we're still hopeful, and at the end of the day, as a government, we will have to lay down some deadlines in relation to a clear trajectory in that regard, and to see what are the other options if that is not the case. The Alpart plant and the reserves that fall to the Alpart plant are critical. They're critical for the South St. Elizabeth Belt. They're critical for moving our economy forward. So it's one of the areas that we're focused on to see what is happening. I wouldn't say we are also excited that we are seeing investments in other minerals. We have seen growth in limestone, and we are seeing those industrial minerals. We are seeing export growth in that, especially in nearshore markets, the U.S., Guyana. We're happy for that. But outside of that, we are seeing investments. We would have announced a partnership with a Jamaican company and the second largest gold miner in the world, and that seems to be going well. Early days yet, but we do believe that there are other areas that will emerge in mining that will drive economic growth.
Very well, Minister. I hoped that much of this comes online in 2025. That is Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Floyd Green. Thank you for joining us, Minister, and the best for 2025.
Thank you.
Well, listeners, we're going to take a break and come back with your calls. The numbers are 630-9371-4 and 618-8255. Come chat with us.
Jamaica's Spark program is investing $45 billion to improve roads, water, and telecom. Better infrastructure for a better future. The time by Spark is...
It's 7:04.
Wagwan Jamaica, the Cove Side Concert Series got a combo for you. Pay $20,000 and attend 2 big concerts. First one drop. Saturday, February 22nd, Barrington Levy, Gramps Morgan, Luciano, and Dance Expression. The same ticket gets you to Timeless. Saturday, March 29. You get to see Dionne Warwick, Myrna Hague, Dwayne Stevens, and Queen Marcia Griffith. We've got a Cove Side combo deal for you. Saturday, February 22nd, Barrington Levy, Gramps Morgan, Luciano. Then Timeless with Dionne Warwick, Myrna Hague, Dwayne Stevens, and our Queen Marcia Griffiths. The Cove Side Concert Series.
Tickets at coveside.aitis
At Plantation Cove, St. Anne, Jamaica.
None of mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come on, let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. This is a public advisory. On Sunday, February 23, the Mayor's Parlor will be aired from 12:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. We do apologize for any inconvenience caused.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We are taking your calls. The numbers are 630-9371 and 618-8255. Bobby, good evening.
Good evening, Siobhan.
Good evening, Bobby.
Yes, good. Yes, this is my opponent who the two I will fight the last time.
Oh, we fought? All right, if you say so.
Yes, look here. I want to talk to my brother tonight, Mr. George Wright. Mr. George Wright,
yes.
Please have your head screw on onto your body. The viral video go out. Nobody know if it was you. about the beating of that lady. Nobody know if it was you. It is only wild assumption that was made. You wasn't being charged. You wasn't being arrested. You wasn't being charged. And every corner of society, especially the PNP women's movement, they are blasting your name all over the place. Mr. Wright, if I was in your shoes, I would be a multi-millionaire because I would sit with my lawyers and file some lawsuit, especially to the PNP women's movement. They're to be blasting your name all over the place, and this is something you wasn't being charged for. Nobody know if it was you in that video. Mr. Wright, come on, man. Stop the nation from stop calling your name, sir. Stop it. Nobody know if it was you, sir. Don't just sit down there, sir. I felt very upset when I hear the PNP women's movement the other day on your name, sir.
But Robbie. Bobby, sorry. If it is that Mr. Wright intends to sue for defamation, as you say, wouldn't he have to then say whether or not it was him in the video?
But the fact is...
Before you get to the fact, wouldn't he have to do that? Because he'd have to prove that what they have said is a lie. Wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would have to prove, but the fact is,
so
he can say that it is not him.
Would that be the truth?
Huh?
Would that be the truth?
But the fact is, Ricardo, if he said that it is not him, the nation cannot tell him say it is a lie he's telling.
No, that's true. But if it is him, would he be perjuring himself in court?
I wouldn't think so.
Oh, so you don't believe it's him then?
I wouldn't think so.
So you don't believe it's him then?
Huh?
You don't believe it's him then?
Well, say anything.
No, I'm asking. Do you either you do or you don't? Do you believe it's him or not?
I don't believe it is him.
You don't believe it. All right. Well, if you don't believe it, then and it is the truth, then he can go and say that and file the defamation suit. But I suspect he has not done that because, and he has not denied it. If somebody was on my name, if Siobhan tell Bug say, I do something and it's not me, I would not be silent in the face of that. I would categorically say I did not do it. It was not me.
But you see, the thing with Mr. Wright, what I observe with him, is like he's just sitting down there, be like a silent lamb, and let everybody just plaster him name all over the place, and this is not good.
But don't you believe there is
to the lady, right? And they are living a good matrimonial life. Nobody know if it was him.
But don't you believe there's a good reason that Mr. Wright is holding his tongue and not saying one way or the other?
Well, the fact is, that can be true, the reason why he's holding his tongue. But it is time for him to get up out of his comfort zone and let people stop of his name all over the place. Right?
Well, as Mr. Rooks pointed out, that is within his power to do, but it requires him to take certain actions after the fact. Well, and one of those is to say, it is not me in that video.
Well, the fact is, I am talking to Mr. Wright tonight. Please, let people stop call out your name, sir, especially the PNP women's movement. Sit with your lawyer and do something now. And the final thing I would like to talk about, Dayton Campbell, in that video, the other day when he was objecting about Portmore being the 15th parish and thing, he said something, Tyrone play the tape today, and trust me, it is very disgraceful to hear what Dayton Campbell, the government in waiting, said on the air, and I think Tyrone was trying to call him, but he couldn't get through to him about a statement that he made. I would like you all to play back that tape. What him said any which way we form Portmore as the 15th parish and remove the mayor, they are going to block up Jamaica. Just play it back and hear what he has to say. And I know the people of Jamaica are grading him and his leader and the party and said, look here, no. These people are not fit to manage the affairs of Jamaica. Okay?
All right, Bobby.
Okay, then. And you do enjoy the rest of your weekend, and may God bless and keep you all here.
Same to you,
thanks.
sir.
Lloyd, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Sir Lloyd.
To both of you. I want to ask a question about Jamaica for Justice. Does anyone know if Jamaicans for Justice, its mandate prevents it from, example, condemning the people who continue to send in illegal firearms into Jamaica? That's one. And does their mandate prevent them from condemning the criminals who are killing citizens of Jamaica?
I don't believe their mandate would do such a thing. I can't imagine any civil society group's mandate would put them in such a situation as to be unable to condemn criminal activity. But I'm sure there's been occasions where Michael Jackson from JFJ has condemned criminal activity and those kind of actions that you brought up. I'm sure she's done that.
But, Siobhan, I think one time that I know of came to pressure from people in the society, because I feel that they are operating in an imbalanced way. Because 9 out of 10 of their condemnations are placed against the security force. At the same time, look on the amount of killing that criminals are doing in the society.
I hear you, Lloyd, but Jamaicans for Justice mandate is the defense of constitutional rights of Jamaicans, correct?
I don't see it that way.
You don't see it that way?
No.
But it is that way, though.
Well, I want to see evidence.
What I'm getting at, Lloyd, now, if you look at it in the way that it is meant to be, Jamaicans for Justice, their duty, their mandate is to look at, promote, and try to the best of their ability to defend the constitutional rights of Jamaicans. As a result of that mandate, it will essentially put them at odds with certain actions and behaviors taken and positions taken by the state. Now, I accept your point when you look at it in a matter of balance to say that, well, it essentially makes it look as if JFJ is siding with a certain demographic of the society. But it is almost intuitively that demographic of the society ends up in conflict with the state and ends up in conflict of matters relating to JFJ's mandate when it comes to human rights.
Okay. Now, the criminals who are out there, it is human beings that they are killing.
And the criminals themselves are human beings.
Okay, but yes, Where is the balance of condemning the other side? 9 out of 10 times they condemn the security forces. We have to have a balance because make me tell you something, Shepard.
What you hope or wish that JFJ has done, while they're suggesting that yes, these police fatal shootings are an issue, that they accept that crime is rampant in Jamaica and that there needs to be a proper response to crime. Is that that's what you're looking for, correct?
Yes.
That's a fair request.
And I want them to more be condemning activities of criminals when it occurs. Balance is what I'm asking for. Right now, in my opinion, it is ill balance. And you see, when I see the symbol of justice, I see the scales balance.
But you also have to bear in mind, Lloyd, that what environment JFJ was created in. I mean, things have changed over the years, but remember, JFJ comes from an environment where there was significant distrust in how law enforcement went about its business. Significant distrust, which is why we have an organization such as INDICOM.
I am quite aware.
And there was a need for organizations such as JFJ to call out sometimes of the gross excess of the police forces.
Exactly. But it doesn't give them the opportunity to be on one side in 9 out of 10 occasions.
I don't believe that's how JFJ sees it. I can understand where you're coming from, but I think if you asked Mikkel as a personally, or if she came here, she would say that she condemns criminal activity in all its forms. I don't think she would resile away from that position.
But Siobhan, we mustn't say it. We must show it.
I've heard Jamaicans for Justice condemn criminals, Lloyd. That has definitely happened.
Listen. I personally understand what human rights supposed to be. And Ricardo, I know that it is when people started to criticize Jamaicans for justice, for their one-sided approach, then Michael Jackson did it down with, did it with the occasion in Clarendon, and at the same time she criticized the Prime Minister for the statement that he made. Okay, listen, Ricardo, are you aware of a case where Jamaicans for Justice criticized the police because a criminal went into them and complained that the police were taking set on him, and eventually that guy was killed by a owner in a hold-up one Sunday. And when the press asked Roger Malcolm to give them some kind of explanation, he said no comment. They must do the same thing that they are asking. It's supposed to be a level playing field.
All right, Lloyd. Thanks for the call. Papa Nana, good evening.
Good evening. Listen, I cannot use this phone without it on speaker, so I hope you can accommodate me.
Yeah, man, hearing you
We hear
clearly.
you clear.
All right, listen to me now. I tell you already, I don't know if you are Mr. Hughes, that is only two problems this country have, And I'm going to beg you a chance to tell you. Two problems this country have. One is the literacy and one is the PNP. To be honest to you. All right. You listen to me now. Why you think the people over Portmore is clearing for Portmore not to become the 15th parish?
Why?
When I say, I mean the PNP. All right. The PNP had a broader base than the JLP, right? You know that?
Historically, yeah.
And you know the reason why? Because the PNP, at any given opportunity, get to rise Jamaica. Try to get to rise certain place in Jamaica that they can be in full control. I want you to just give me a chance to explain to you. They get to rise. And most of the people who you are able to control your way is the people them who you get to rise. Because you give them a tendency of promise and they don't have to work because you will feed them so they look up to you as the savior. Most things that the person in the ghetto are not, listen to me now, I'm not bashing anybody from the ghetto more than so. When you control people's mind, most of the young men them who should have gone out and searched for themselves, they depend on handouts. It is embedded in them that they don't have to fish. You will fish and give them, right? And that is the mentality of most of them. All them want is boom. Some of them ganja, cocaine, and a belly full. And that is not good for the country. If you notice why they had a broader base is because they try to get a rise most of Jamaica that they can control them. And we are telling you, this illiteracy thing in this country is a problem.
I hear you, Papa Nana, but would you agree that that is not a problem? Because I understand what you're saying, in terms of I have found issue with this notion that the Member of Parliament is essentially God the Savior and all to all men. When a Member of Parliament is to have, in an ideal circumstance, a very specific mandate. But why, I don't know if I agree with you that that's a problem limited to the People's National Party. I think that has just been a way we've styled our politicians as our almost savior in Christ throughout the decades.
That's why I love to talk to you. It's not them alone. The JLP, yes, but to a lesser extent. Listen to me now. Would you, I'm going to say something to you, and I don't want anybody to believe that I am saying derogatory thing about we as Jamaicans. Did you know that China is supposed to be the richest country in the world now?
I don't even think it's that close. I think in terms of economic, it's still the United States.
It's still the United States?
Yes.
Well, I'm wrong. Listen to me. Just give me a chance. The richest man in China and I'm going to use an analogy now. He said, if you give $100 billion to a monkey and a hand of ripe banana, the monkey is eventually going to take the ripe banana because he do not know the use of the money. Right? So if he was a fool, he could never be such a rich person, not you?
I get the analogy. I get the analogy. It's a very powerful one. I get it.
Yes. If you give the monkey $100 billion in that way, because he don't know the use of the money, he's going to take the banana, the ripe banana, right? You can't sit down and make people determine your life, and that is how. Listen, when I listen and hear people over 65 to 70 said that they would vote for the PNP, I really, this stomach really sick, believe me. Because I would want to know where those people was. Don't know the track record of the PNP, and you people over 65 would really put the PNP over Andrew when it comes to us running a country. Come on, Jamaican. Something is definitely wrong with you know.
But Papa, you look to the younger. What about the younger voters? Because many of these younger voters, they're willing to sell their vote for $10,000-$20,000, regardless of which politician would bring it to them. So I don't know if the argument you're putting forward that the older voters are somehow specifically to be criticized, if it's any less true about the rest of the electorate.
But it's true. But because if a man really 65 or 70 and tell me that you all right, two of them, Andrew and Mark is here, and you know the track record of Mark of Andrew Holness, and would you swap Andrew Holness for Mark Golding? And you know the track record. I'm a talk about the PNP not even bill a star to put there what they're going to do yet. They don't even have nothing on this star right now. How could you put them over Andrew Holness? Tell me now in the name of Almighty God. Huh?
Oh, well, Papa Nana, we will hear in a few months' time. We'll see how things turn.
No, I wonder if you see where I'm going. All the people, some of them in the ghetto, right, is boom and I think and not even the refined rum, you know, one where them call you couscous is name.
I'm not familiar with either of those things.
I think a couscous them call it. Oh, my wife say, when you kulu rum.
Books, you know what kulu is? Books don't know what that is either. So.
All right, Papa Nana, thanks for the call. Thanks for the call, Papa Nana. We go to the break and come back with more.
Apply for your Sagicor Bank Preferred Prepaid MasterCard today. Load your remittances for everyday spending. Receive cash transfers from any local bank. The time by Sagicor Bank is...
It's 7:31.
It's tax season. Time to reach for your checkbook or dole out the cash. Or maybe not. Discover an easier way to pay your taxes. Use your Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card. You'll get a 1-month payment holiday, up to 55 days interest-free, and unlimited rewards points on every dollar you spend. Discover how easy and convenient it is to pay your taxes with your Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card. Don't have a Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card? Visit Sagicor.com to apply for yours today. Conditions apply.
Errol, good evening.
Siobhan.
Evening, Errol.
And Ricardo.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You ever hear our Prime Minister ever get up on a cuss market GTM and this and that yet?
I haven't heard the Prime Minister curse anybody in a while.
All right. You ever hear, and even the General Secretary, Horace Chang, ever hear him come and go on like a Dayton Campbell?
No, Dr. Chang has a different style.
So, why Mark Golding have come with this argument that the Prime Minister a thief, the Prime Minister a this and that, Dayton Campbell come, he might criticize Vaz, he might criticize everybody on this. And, you know, here, human rights and them people are calm them down. And you know, hear them are come out and look at now. Where man we're killing wife name?
Who is alleged to have killed his wife?
We're killing wife and then she dead last Sylvester.
Who is alleged to have killed his wife?
We're killing wife up in a store.
Who is alleged to have killed his wife?
Right.
Julian Silvera.
Right. And you know, see them come out, the woman never come out and talk about that, but then come and talk about George Wright never charged, you know.
I mean, the easiest answer to that one is actually before the courts, the other is not.
That's why them should have come out and talk that Chevron. You know that? Georgia is suing them.
Thank you for the call, Errol. 630-937-124, 618-8255. Anthony, good evening.
Good evening, General.
Good evening.
Listen, you see the brother that called concerning the human rights people them. Hello?
Yeah, we heard you. Go ahead.
Yeah, the brother that called and they talk against the human rights people them. You know that I am 100% agree with them on that. I'm 100% agree with them because human rights people them come like a criminal them back. You know? All of the police them get shot by them old gun boy there. Them see a man, he come out and say the police them this, police them that. You know, he come like I say for a police that they're not going to believe what happened. You know, me feel say, oh, by the way, who fund them? Who fund them people there?
I'm sure they have a variety of different donors, whether overseas or locally.
Well, if America fund them, you know, Trump cut off the funding from them. Because come like I said, they're no business if they're no business for 3,000 people dead in Jamaica by them all criminal there.
Let me ask you something, Anthony. If, for example, the Prime Minister declared martial law throughout the country for whatever reason, and your freedoms were limited in terms of where you could and could not go, do you think JFK would, in that instant case, just sit silent?
They would have come out and make noise.
Yes, because that is their mandate.
Wouldn't you want them to come out and make noise?
We're going to do what? Well, hey, let me tell you something. You see, we talk about Singapore. If we go in a Singapore, we hold them go to get to them country the way it is today. And hell in a Jamaica. And a good thing that's what I want good.
Well, that we both agree. Lee Kuan Yew was quite the bit of the benevolent dictator in that country, and he had a free rein to reshape that country in the image that he saw it fit. We don't have that level of discipline here in Jamaica.
Nor should we want a dictator. Nor should we want a dictator in Jamaica.
What is that we have to think every country into order? We have to do it.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
I
don't know
not.
if I quite enjoy my freedoms to the extent that
Listen,
I have them.
If we had a dictator in Jamaica, the thing Siobhan and I come on here and say, we probably couldn't say. So soldiers would probably come in here. So let me finish. Soldiers would come in here, arrest us. You calling on the radio and cussing people, you probably wouldn't get to finish the sentence. Them come kick down your door. Or quarreling, them kick down your door. We must be very careful. Now, you can disagree with JFJ on their stance on police fatal shootings. But do not, Anthony, do not for a second believe that the work that JFJ does is not important. You asked a question, who funds them? I just went on their website. They have a list of funders. Amnesty International, the European Union, American Friends of Jamaica, UNICEF, Open Society Foundations, the Global Fund, and the United Nations Democracy Fund.
But let me tell you, man, you see my son, you see like how them kill my son, and when the police then find the boy grab up him baby and jump on his feet. You don't know how I feel, you know. That's why police, that's why they don't kill your boy, you know.
And to be fair, I understand that sentiment that many Jamaicans have. We have reached a point with criminality where I think a lot of Jamaicans are willing to essentially look the other way for other things just to bring the crime under control. I understand that sentiment, you know. But JFJ stands on a matter of principle, and that principle is the Constitution and the human rights of the matter. And
how much people dead in Jamaica since the year start? By the all unscrupulous people them. How much people then kill already?
Anthony.
We're supposed to beat over 100 already, not so?
Anthony.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you that crime is at an intolerable level. I agree with that 100%. But we should not believe that there is no place for human rights advocacy.
Well, it's difficult. Me can't understand it. Me don't know if because them boy they killed in the pit.
No, and Siobhan said I can't put myself in your shoes because I understand. I get that, you know. I get it. I really do. But
right now, my son is 33-year-old now, you know.
Yeah.
We're 33-year-old. We don't have him to look for, we don't have him to talk to. And I insist that when I go down and grandmother yard of collecting and go out and kill him, you know, and then turn on and talk about a mistaken identity. Mistaken identity will give them the right to kill nobody.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, one more thing before we go. What's your name again? We can't remember. Because we are a deep hard, you know.
Ricardo.
Me call about the app from my phone. I think it was last night.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I took it back to another technician, and when he go in it, he said them can't do nothing about it. Are you people up there have to deal with it?
Yes, man. And I promised you that I would pass on information, and I have. So I'm waiting to hear.
You have?
Yes.
All right. Because I don't know enough. Because I can't listen clip at the time, you know. Because I have to walk up and down with my phone, you know. I can't hear him.
All right.
You know?
All right, man.
All right, brother. Take care.
All right. Jeffrey.
Yeah, good evening. You hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, all right. On this human rights issue, it has always been believed that majority of the lawyers are mostly supporters of most of the persons who support the PNP as lawyers are on the lawyers' side.
I don't know about that.
Hold on.
Well, you have a lot of lawyers who are PNP oriented.
Oh, I don't know about that either. But okay.
All right. But why I mentioned that? We have the PNP support a man named Castro when he was alive, and they believe in him to the point where Michael was even willing to walk with him hand in hand. All right. And Cuba, the way it was run, I hear you looking up him out against the Lee Kuan Yew and so on. I don't totally support those regime of such.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is this, that Castro, the way how he run Cuba,
yes,
and the result that he got in the way of people cherish life in Cuba.
Yes.
The same lawyers are the persons who were who on the PNP side would look out against the same thing that Castro does to keep the crime down. When they are in Parliament, in fact, I even want to talk specifically to the lawyers that are in the PNP, that are in Parliament. They would look out against anything near to what Castro would implement or had implemented in Cuba and get the results. Because, you know, one of the reasons why I say that is that the lawyers are benefiting from the crime that is happening in Jamaica.
All right, pause. So you started well, and I was inclined to agree with you, and then you went off. I don't know that.
Where I went off.
The part about lawyers benefiting from crime in Jamaica. Lawyers exist to represent people's interests, and that's a fundamental tenet of our democracy. The first part of what you said, I agree with. In fact, I've long said that people here in Jamaica have romanticized Fidel Castro,
the Castro regime,
right?
Yes.
And Nicolas Maduro. In fact, I've read and heard statements from the People's National Party in the past that I seriously question in terms of their support or seeming support for the regime of Nicolas Maduro. And it usually is based in the Petro-Carib.
It's a historic relationship, so to speak.
I condemn that completely. And I've said before, we should not play footsie with any kind of dictator. Not in Cuba, not in Russia, not in Venezuela. So you are right. There are people in this country, and I remember when Fidel Castro died, I saw people, even people who in the past were critical of him, sort of, hailing his time in office and that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I am not one of those people. I am very clear that I would not want to live in Cuba. I would not want to live in Venezuela, and I wouldn't want Jamaican society to be like that. Me very clear about that. So you are right on that. I agree with you completely, because the things that they support elsewhere When you have even a remotely tough measure that don't come anywhere close to what we see in those countries, they push back. So you're quite right on that.
But that is where, remember now, I remember in the Klansman trial, one of the persons who gave evidence, they made mention that the money that was used to pay the lawyers were from extortion and so on. And the lawyers came out, lick out against it and said they need to strike it down and whatever because that statement, whatever.
I recall that.
Majority of the persons who are criminals are and so on. Where do they get their money from to employ those lawyers that will charge them millions of dollars to take them out of jail? And remember this now, you know. I understand this to say that if a lawyer is to defend you, you have to come clean to him. So you have to tell him the actual thing that happened, because if you had killed the person, so say for argument's sake, I killed the person, and if I go to the lawyer and deny, but there are evidence to prove otherwise, then the lawyer would have a problem in defending me.
Right.
But if I was to be truthful, then it would be easier for him to get me off, because he would know how to question the witnesses and so on. Now, if I am truthful to the lawyer, to tell the lawyer that I killed the person, and yet still he would go in court and get me off the case, then wouldn't he be allowing me, a criminal, to be back on the street to do what I want to do?
Well, you see, that's always been a very complicated question, you know, because here's why. Because we say the state must prove its burden beyond a reasonable doubt, right? So the burden in the criminal justice process appears to me to be on the state. That as an accused person, you don't have to do anything. You could just sit there and say nothing, and it's for the state to prove it. Now, if the state cannot prove it, and as you say, the defense lawyer knows otherwise, then that's just the system we have, my brother.
And that's where I reach to the point of saying that the lawyers would benefit from it, from the crime, because if there is no crime, if say we got crime down to say 10%, a lot of lawyers wouldn't be having much cases to defend. And that's the main reason why I said when the crime goes up, somebody will benefit other than the person who actually does it. The person will go into court to defend them and get them off. And remember, the more certain for a person to be tried and found guilty, and the lawyers get them off, is more feather in the lawyer's cap, and he gets what you would call more recognition and get more cases. So that's the main reason why I say
I hear you.
that they benefit.
My response to that is every Jamaican is entitled, or should be entitled, to legal representation.
I don't disagree on that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. But to the you mentioned earlier about the mandate of JFJ,
yes,
that it is to defend what?
Human rights, constitutional rights, yes.
The constitutional right of Jamaicans?
Yes.
So when the criminals go and kill persons, isn't it that those persons have lost their human rights?
Absolutely.
And in most cases, does JFJ, if they even do say anything in regard to the persons that have died, have they come out seem to be more strident against it than in support?
I have seen very strident statements from them when criminals commit crimes. But I have to go to a break now. Thanks for the call.
The national budget is everybody's business because it impacts every Jamaican. The time brought to you by the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service is...
It's 7:48.
Hello, Jamaica. Are you ready for the Cove Side concert series? Well, here we go. One Drop, Saturday, February 22nd, featuring Barrington Levy, Gramps Morgan, Luciano, and Dance Expression. Tickets are at Fesco, Chicken and Things, Bramwell, Texaco, Sharkies, and Plantation Smokehouse. Showtime is 7 p.m. One Drop, Saturday, February 22nd, Barrington Levy, Gramps Morgan, Luciano, Plantation Cove, St. Anne.
Tickets at coveside.aitis.com.
Before we go to the next call, I saw a comment in the YouTube chat that sometimes I wonder if Jamaicans think critically. It's from Fired Up. A lot of these people that call Singapore a dictatorship don't know nothing about political democracy. And I wonder, Mr. Fired Up, whatever your name is, if your myopic view of democracy just stops at we voted and that's it. And that is the only requirement for a democracy.
Nicolas Maduro said the Venezuelan people voted.
Because then under that simple principle, Russia is a democracy.
Absolutely.
So in some situations, people would say China is a democracy.
Absolutely.
Because China has elected officials.
Absolutely.
But let me point to a few political gems from Lee Kuan Yew. If you really believe that when we call him a benevolent dictator, if we're being unfair. For example, and this is a quote from him. So when people say, oh, ask the people, it's childish rubbish. We are leaders. We know the consequences. You mean that Ice Water Man knows the consequence of his vote? They say people can think for themselves? Do you honestly believe that? The chap who can't pass primary 6 knows the consequences of his choice when he answers a question viscerally on language, culture, and religion. Lee Kuan Yew said that in 1988.
He had a
this
certain
man
contempt.
detested democracy.
Yes, he didn't believe.
He detested the freedom of the press.
The concept of one
he
man,
believes
one
those.
vote, yes.
He believes those principles on which Western democracy is underpinned were hindrances to development.
Absolutely.
So when we say that he was a benevolent dictator, we're not talking out of turn. He himself would consider himself that.
Yeah. Some news out of the United States. Donald Trump has fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That's the highest ranking general in the Pentagon and the president's chief military advisor. This was expected. The president expects to fire more generals from the Pentagon. Obviously, this comes at a time when just of great instability. You don't usually find that the president fires the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, a very powerful position. And CQ Brown, he is the second black man to hold the post after Colin Powell, and Trump just fired him. Carl, good evening.
Evening, Ricardo. Evening, Siobhan.
Good evening, Carl.
I'm going to quote something to you tonight. You remember one chairman for life of the People's National Party say, we always believe that it is best for us to form the administration. So anything that will lead us or cause us to be in office, we regard it as in the best interest of the PMP and the best interest of the country. I take you there tonight to take you to that post, that golden post on his page yesterday concerning the police force. So if I even to mislead the people against the police force, now him wish that he might try to rally up the people against the police force.
I wouldn't say against the police force, but certainly I think against the government's intentions in raising revenue. I think.
Well, I'm going to say something to you tonight. This morning, as I touched my stand, there was 3 comrades and 4 labor rights tackled me one. And how and Joe, no one raise tax for nothing, and him a look $1.8 billion off a transport. Mm-hmm. And I have to put it to a lot of the idiot them that was standing in front of me, that the head of traffic said nothing no go so. And when a person who want to lead a country can mislead people like that, he is a dangerous man. dangerous, man. And that's why I take you to what Bobby Pickersgill said first. So if I am to mislead the country to get some vote, he will stop nowhere to get some vote. And I heard also, Miss Duncan, want to remind you something, Miss Duncan. Say a PMP start beat people first in a Jamaica, beat woman. KD Knight wife went to the airport and beat a police. Miss Duncan, tell me so lie me I tell. Miss Duncan, I'm doing a research on everything now, Miss Duncan.
Look,
I'm
Carl,
coming back next week for you.
Carl, no, you don't come back here next week for her. Please, I beg. Thank you, Carl.
Anyhow.
No, thank you, Carl.
Have a good evening, Carl.
Mario, good evening.
Good evening, guys.
Good evening, sir.
Ricardo, good evening. I am very disturbed. After fact, I am a resident of Portmore, right? And I hear the GenSec of the PNP running around Jamaica like he's Mama Lashy, talking all kind of nonsense, talking about the mayor was elected by the people of Portmore.
Yes.
And if you guys can recall the local government election that happened in February, Leon Thomas won, I think, by 4,000 something vote.
Right.
If you can kind of check that back.
Yes, almost 5,000, yes.
Right. But the people of Caribbean Estate and Phoenix Park cannot elect this man. And that's over 6,000 votes we're talking about. So why is it that they're running around Jamaica and talking all kind of this nonsense and garbage? The PNP woman come out the other day and they were talking about morals and all of that stuff as it relates to Mr. Wright. You understand, in a video that the man don't even charge on or nothing. And they're running around Jamaica, the woman talking about that. Why they are not talking about Miss Silvera? And his husband is still a part of the PNP. Why they are not talking about that?
What do you want them to say about
Why? But not only that as well, sir. That night, I think it was Tuesday night, I was in the meeting when I saw the mayor. You understand? I saw 3 females, and they're not talking about that, and that video is circulating on social media. And JFJ and all of the civil groups that coming out and talk about it. But as Andrew Holness cough, you hear them come out and talk about it. These people are sick. They're disaster. As Andrew Holness cough, you hear them come out and say, boy, this is what and all kind of garbage. And yet still we don't hear them talk about the mayor that assault these 3 females. And I witnessed it. I saw it. And it is all over social media.
You mean when he grabbed the placards?
I saw it when he grabbed the placard and he shoved one of the lady as well.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
It is there.
Okay.
Well, you know,
I think I saw something that the police were investigating.
I believe so, and I also understand his statement. He said he admitted to trying to relieve them of the placards, saying that he was trying to de-escalate the situation.
Okay. Who is this man? Like, you're supposed to can protest in peace. This is a government building. And these people hold up their placards, said that they want Portmore to be a parish. But guess what? They sent out a voice note. They sent voice note to their cronies, and that voice note was leaked. And the thing backfired on them where they didn't know that so many people would show up. You understand? They thought it was just the 50 people that they wanted to come to that meeting. But so much people show up and it backfired on them. You understand? And that's what happened. And then him now didn't like what he actually saw, jump out and like he's King Kong and want to fight the females.
All right.
And he's a leader.
All right, we're out of time. Appreciate the call. Books face. You have to go train me for the take up thing, Books. I feel like one of Friday them.
You want a change of location?
No, one of Friday the books. Maybe like you got us ropes, you know. And you know what's a Friday evening alongside Siobhan. Dana produce. I just teach me for the day. Take off. I mean, I won't work that now, but I mean, it might take a while to learn it, but you can. Hi. You're not very good at it though. Oh, that wasn't for books, by the way, listeners. Also Dana, who's telling me that it took her a week to learn it. Sometimes I come in and I'd still a play and you know. Dana Davey, thank you so much. Andrew Glenn Anderson, thank you, sir. Our colleagues in the newsroom, thank you. And our editor, Cara Powell. Our thoughts are with you, Cara. Our friends, contributors, and you are valued listeners. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good evening.
Come into the parlor, there's